The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as usual by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
Today we have traveled to Pottstown, right? We're in Pottstown?
Yes.
I just put it in my GPS and said, get me there. But we are in Pottstown, a brewery that I'm sure everyone who's listening knows and loves, and has been around for quite some time. In fact, they're responsible for one of my favorite beers, which we'll get to in a little bit. But we are at one of the locations of Sly Fox, who makes fantastic beer. I'm loving the environment that we're at now, and I'm ashamed to say this is my first time here.
What?
I know. That's like a theme with all this. I don't get out much.
Yes.
But we have a couple of guys at the table with us who were kind enough to donate some time to us. We have with us
Brian O'Reilly.
and
Pete Giannopoulos.
gentlemen, thank you so much for having us out here.
Thanks for coming.
Very excited to be here. There's a lot that we have to get to. I know we've got. I'm thirsty as anything, so I know we've got a sipping beer, and I've been told this beer is a pretty big deal. This is the SRT, right?
It is the Schuylkill River Trail Ale.
All right.
Yep.
I was proud of myself that I wrote down Schuylkill and spelled it correctly without needing like a computer. or
Well
anything.
done.
Having to check, yeah.
And I've only,
As a Pennsylvanian,
Nice.
as an Eastern
I've
Pennsylvanian,
only lived here 30 years. It's fine.
that's a priority.
Ooh, that is delicious.
Yeah,
It's
this is a
refreshing.
preview because we're releasing this beer tomorrow, actually.
So I heard, yeah.
You guys are special.
All right.
Good
Oh,
for you.
I like to think that.
No matter what they say about you.
Oh, wow.
They say a lot, too.
That is very true.
It's like he's done this before.
I know, right?
So what's behind this beer? Like why this special release? I know tomorrow, as of recording this, tomorrow is Earth Day. Is that like what the whole thing for it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The idea was to do a beer that kind of was just as connected to the outdoors as we were, and we're looking for some kind of charity or some way to kind of inspire people and give back ourselves. And John Giannopoulos, the owner, actually was riding his bike a lot on the Schuylkill River Trail and said, man, this is so cool. And, you know, we started to get word of how the trail was going to connect and how long it was going to be, and started to see some of that coming together. And we're lucky enough to do some research and find the Schuylkill River Heritage Area Association. So
Cool.
to kind of work with on it. So
They're right in Pottstown as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so they're nice and local then.
Yep, and they receive the proceeds that they receive funds from the proceeds from the sales of SRTL.
Very cool.
And it's also, ties in with us because both of our locations are located very, very close to the SRT and the Schuylkill River, being in Pottstown and Phoenixville.
Very nice. And I saw the release event includes like a trail cleanup. So
Yeah,
you're
actually, I
going
just
out
got
there
back
to-
from one.
Oh, really? Nice.
So it's kind of all weekend long.
that's why Pete was late. Pete
yeah.
was cleaning the trail. So
That's
right.
acceptable.
Actually,
That's a
good
good. Yeah, that's a
reason.
more important thing than a podcast.
Yeah, so we had a very successful trail cleanup just after work. Ended up pulling a shopping cart out of the river.
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
Actually, my girlfriend did, so I gave her props big time. I gave her some brewer's boots that went up to her knees, and she got a shopping cart out, and so that was good to haul back all the trash that we found.
I didn't know the whole
unfortunately.
shopping cart thing actually happened. I figured that was just in movies and cartoons.
Yeah, it does
Trailer
sound like,
Park
like
Boys.
a
I don't know if you,
Trailer
that sounds
Park
like
Boys.
that
Who
sounds
said
like
that?
a story.
Yes, somebody that watches that show.
yeah.
That's exactly what I
I was
thought.
watching it last night.
I love that show.
That sounds like a story. Like I knew she was a keeper when she put on the boots and pulled the shopping cart out.
I actually, yeah,
Yes,
I
I love it.
was very impressed.
I love it. And this is a 4.6% American Pale Ale.
I was going to ask the ABV. Thank
It
you.
is quite refreshing, quite easy
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah, and on a day that's kind of it's sort of chilly, but also muggy, and in here's a little bit warmer where we are. So this hits the spot even more. This will be perfect for an Earth Day release.
Yeah, the goal was to do something that was very hop forward and had a lot of hop flavor, hop aroma, but was not overly bitter, but was also light enough that you could drink a few when you were sweating after
Yeah.
maybe a bike ride. Or
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's nice and refreshing, and like you said, like the low alcohol. It's great for watching hot air balloons land and take off, which we saw
that
earlier.
was a
I don't know
spectacle.
if that's a regular occurrence here, but that was pretty cool.
It's pretty magical here at the brewery in a lot of different ways.
Sounds like it.
You
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
I thought maybe that's how Peter was coming.
Yeah, right.
We thought that was
That
your
would have been a
ride.
great
Make a
entrance.
cool
Yes, it would have been. You would have won.
Yeah,
We need,
that
like,
You
is
would have
true.
won the podcast.
Pyrotechnics and like theme music
Yeah.
going.
Yes.
That would have been awesome.
Well, we have a lot we need to get to. Of course, we have to thank Audible for their continued support. audibletrial.com/beerbusters is where you can go to sign up for your own free 30-day Audible account as a trial. And if you choose to do so, you can keep that Audible account, which you will be glad you did, because let's face it, in this fast-paced world that we live in 2017, or whatever year you're listening to this, you probably don't have time to sit down and read a book. So let somebody else do it to you while you're going about your everyday. So audibletrial.com/beerbusters. And remember, if you cancel your account after your 30-day trial, you still keep that book. So worst thing that happens to you is you got a free book out of it.
audibletrial.com/beerbusters. You can also go to patreon.com/beerbusters and become a patron of the podcast and donate a couple of bucks to us each time we release a podcast episode, or as little as $1 a month. And that gets you cool behind-the-scenes perks, gets you access to our exclusive feed on Patreon, where you get to see all kinds of pictures and posts.
And you get to see how John Stemler reacted to the last episode.
Yeah, if you heard the John Stemler bit in our last game.
John, we love you.
You can get
our patrons got to see that.
A little behind the scenes on that. You also get outtakes from
one of the patrons was involved in that.
That's true.
This is true.
And you might get VIP invites to special recording events that the public is not invited to.
That is also true.
So find out more about all that. Go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
We also have some awesome events coming up now that the weather is getting warmer. Come on out Saturday, May 6th, when for the first time ever we will be recording on location at Evil Genius.
Yay!
It all started with episode 7.
I'm very excited.
4 years ago.
4 years
Four
ago.
years
and
ago.
Finally, now we'll be recording with them for the 7 millionth time.
Yeah.
At their location. It will also be the grand opening of the beer garden that day.
Yay.
2 weeks later, Saturday, May 20th, we'll be at the 3rd annual Schuylkill County Brewfest, Slingin' Teas, and then we'll be at the 2nd annual Ephrata Brewfest on Saturday, June 24th. So come out and hang out with us and have a good time.
Always a good time at all those fests, and I'm sure the Evil Genius thing is going to be a blast. Those guys have worked very hard for what they have. We've got a lot we got to get to, so let's get into some news. I almost accidentally reported on an April Fool's joke until I read the whole article and saw it was an April Fool's joke.
That's so millennial of you.
Dan and I were talking about the news before we left to come here today, and he was like, "Yeah, so the story that I picked was actually like fake."
Because I skimmed
Oh, I thought you were the one that called him out on it.
No,
you
I
know
had
that's
no
fake,
idea.
Dan.
I skimmed part of it, and then I didn't get to the whole thing. And at one point, it was like the whole project started with a phone call from Leslie Knope, and then I realized it's
not a real
it's all
person.
a ruse. Well, I'm sure somebody out there is named Leslie Knope, but
I'm
not
sure.
from Pawnee, Indiana.
Well,
However, in the world of real news, the Brewers Association has made it clear that they are going to crack down on all of the lewd and sexually explicit beer names that are out there. They've updated its marketing and advertising code to further explain that beer-related advertising should not contain, quote, sexually explicit, lewd, or demeaning brand names, language, text, graphics, or photos. The membership from Brewers Association makes up approximately 99% of the craft beer made in the U.S., and according to an article on Brewbound, the organization's leader said that the Craft Brewers Conference on April 12th, they will still allow the brewers who are using questionable names to participate in the awards competition and join the membership ranks, but noted that winners with offensive names will not be celebrated during the awards ceremonies.
they will be stricken from the record.
So it seems like it's a here forward thing. I mean, there's a lot of beers that are out there that, depending on your level of sensitivity, could be offensive, like Arrogant Bastard. Fantastic beer out of Stone.
I feel like, and we have a long and sordid history
Right.
with crazy beer names on this podcast, being one of our favorite games that we play is Libation or Fabrication.
Yeah, so we're going to have fewer beers to pull
Well,
from.
but when I saw this story, obviously it's been all over the place recently. It's kind of a big deal. I started thinking about it and putting together the games and coming up with I look up crazy beer names that are funny to put into the trivia games that we do. But I do come across some that I'm like, I think that crosses a line, and I don't want to use that. And I do think that there is having a crazy, funny, stupid beer name is fine, but I think there's a lot of beer out there that crosses the line. There's a lot of beer out there that has really sexist names too, and that's the big thing when you go
Flying Dog has Raging Bitch.
Raging Bitch, Pearl Neck. Now, Pearl Necklace. It's hard to say it without giggling.
Yeah.
It is funny, but Doggy Style. And even those aren't that bad, but you can get into the ones like the Panty Peeler and the Kilt Lifter. And
Well, the article mentions one from Perrin Brewing, which is called the Poop Your Pants Chocolate Bock.
see, now even that is juvenile, but I don't think
it's too offensive.
It's not
but
offensive.
I think I see what they're going for.
But
with
there's a hoppy blonde called Hop on a Blonde.
Yeah.
That's kind of really
That's a little
That's
much.
like a bro dude thing to say.
A bro dude thing. Is that what we're officially calling
Yeah.
that?
And actually, there was a beer that I was going to put in today's game. So, foreshadowing, we're playing Band or Beer today. that I have a document where I keep like weird, funny beer names that I come across, and I had one that was listed. I had it typed in as Dan's Pink Shirt, which I thought was pretty funny. I was going to use it. I was like, oh, Dan's Pink Shirt, that's funny. So then I Googled it.
This is red.
I know. No, the beer is called Dan's Pink
okay.
Shirt. And but it's not called Dan's Pink Shirt. It's called Dan's Pink Skirt.
Oh.
And the label is like a crude drawing of like a middle-aged dude in a pink tutu. And I was like, and I saw that, and I was like, I wish it was Dan's Pink Shirt, because now it just feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, if Dan wants to wear a pink skirt, let him. Let Dan do Dan. I don't care.
There's like a stigma behind it at that point.
Like, it just became weird, so I didn't use it in the game. So I don't know. All I'm saying is that it's an issue, and it's a thorny issue, and it's not cut and dry.
Yeah, you are exactly right. In the other world of news, I know every now and then I report on brewery collaborations with bands. I had an article about it years ago when I actually had time to write. And it feels weird saying years ago I did something for the podcast. We're going on 4 years.
Old.
So weird.
Yeah, right.
Wait, it is, isn't it? We
about-
recorded our first episode in April of 2013.
Yeah.
And it is the end of April.
Yeah, that's weird. Holy crap.
So happy anniversary.
Hey, happy 4 years.
Happy anniversary,
All right,
guys.
yay.
Cheers.
Prost.
Cheers. Cheers to me.
Well, cheers to us. So there's another one that has come up. I know, Steph, Wayne, you guys really like this band, Sublime. Do you guys like Sublime?
Yes.
Okay, cool. There's a very emphatic yes. I approve. They have teamed up with Alesmith Brewing. They're going to brew a Mexican-style lager on behalf of Sublime, and the plans are for national distribution in 12-ounce six-pack cans through all of Alesmith's supply chain, with an initial small batch of limited edition 40-ounce bottles that are going to be for sale from the brewery itself. When asked how the decision to produce a Mexican-style lager came about, Alesmith owner and CEO Peter Zine replied, "The band members are all big fans of the style of beer, and we wanted to create our thirst-quenching version of a traditional Vienna-style lager that showcases a grainy, malt-forward sweetness and easy drinkability. Clean and crisp with a subdued hop bitterness to balance makes Sublime Mexican Lager the go-to beer for hot summer days or pre-concert tailgating." Now, as for how the Sublime and Alesmith Brewing partnership was forged, it came down to similar track records and longevity within their respective industries. Since 1998, Sublime has stayed true to their independent, authentic music and lifestyle, resulting in a continually growing fan base with over 17 million albums sold. I didn't realize they sold that many. And the band has brought all walks of life together through their revolutionary blend of musical styles. And since 1995, Alesmith Brewing has been dedicated to creating the world's highest quality beer while promoting an understanding and appreciation of craft beer and its styles and traditions to those they call their customers. The brewery has brought beer fans from all around the globe together through their artisanal approach toward brewing and a diverse portfolio of beer styles offered. The Sublime Mexican Lager will become a permanent fixture in stores with a June 2017 release to coincide with the official anniversary date of 40 Ounces to Freedom, and consumers should expect to see their beer nationwide through all of Alesmith's
Will it come in
distributions
40-ounce bottles?
at the brewery.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
At the brewery only, but there's going to be 6-pack, 12-ounce cans throughout the country. And apparently it's going to keep going. It doesn't seem like it's a limited offer.
Not what I'd expect from Alesmith.
Yeah, me neither.
That is kind of strange. Yeah, you don't think Alesmith would be like the first brewery that pops into mind when you think about a Sublime collaboration
Well, not only that,
Or a Vienna Lager.
or a Vienna
Lager. I
that
find
too.
it interesting that they're going to keep that on year-round, it seems.
It's a great year-round beer.
Oh, yeah, it's an awesome style. And I
I mean, Iron Hill has a killer Vienna Lager that they have on.
that is true. That is true.
Do you guys make a Vienna Lager?
We have,
But not something that's year-round.
not something that's year round, but we're really into band collaborations.
Very cool.
It's like what we do in our free time.
Nice.
We've got a beer on tonight that we brewed in collaboration with a local band called Mason Porter.
Uh-huh.
And I say they're a local band, but actually Rolling Stone voted them like one of the top 10 bands to watch last year.
Oh, cool.
So we just did a release party with them. They threw a big self-promoted concert in Phoenixville, and we tapped the first beer, keg of that beer. So kind of fun. Those guys are friends of ours. We did something with the Lawsuits from Philly last year as well. So, yeah.
Very cool. Did they actually brew the beer here with you guys, or was it like
We brewed both those beers in Phoenixville.
Well, in Phoenixville.
They actually didn't brew the beer with us. But
Okay.
we we drank a lot of beer trying to figure out what beer to brew.
That's the fun part.
I've
It's an
only
important
ever
part of the process.
We'll help you with recipe development, and then you can go do that.
and then
I
we'll
could see
drink
the
everything.
bands being like, we'll drink beer and talk to you about it, but we're not actually going to come and like put boots on and like.
Yeah. I've only ever seen one beer collaboration where the band actually helped brew the beer. It was the Menzingers at Neshaminy Creek. They actually did the recipe and did the brewing with them up there. At least that's what Jeremy had told us at one point.
Right.
Yeah. But that's cool. I think it's a cool way to blend the two industries together.
Yeah.
'Cause they do go
Two
hand in
different
hand
arts.
a lot. Because you always go to a brewery and you have good music playing in most cases. Like I heard the Stones in Hotel California we were singing. And
Yep.
what were you trying to get me to harmonize earlier?
What were we singing? I don't remember now.
I don't either.
Something.
I think
Journey.
there's
It was
a-
Journey.
Yes.
I think there's an independent, spirit with craft brewers that is reflected in original music.
Yeah.
People kind of go their own way and do their own thing and do things that people, would have to pay attention to get.
Right.
So I think we share that with them.
And I think I was actually just thinking as we were talking about this, like it's a good way for local bands to get a little publicity, and it's a good way for a brewery to reach out to people that may not have otherwise heard
True.
of them. It's a mutually beneficial thing, and there is a sort of a common philosophy between like local music and craft.
A lot
brewing.
of great craft beer bars and craft breweries have live music
True.
weekly even at their venues, and it's a lot of fun to enjoy a few beers and listen to some live music and good times.
And
Do you
it's
guys have a lot? You have a pretty big space here at the Pottstown location. Do you do a lot of music, especially in the summer?
We have a couple of events, but we don't. It's not something we do like every week. We have a band play, but we do have a couple of events that feature really good bands. One of them is Taps Tunes Trucks on Saturday, June 3rd, I believe.
Yep, good job.
And that's got the Foxtrot 5K in the morning, and then there's 3 bands that'll be playing, and we'll have food trucks as well.
Do you know some of the bands that will be there? Or
yes.
to be announced?
TBA, right?
TBA.
Yeah.
We're negotiating with the last band now. So
Ooh. Negotiation.
Keeping it close to that. And then our larger event focused on music is Can Jam, and that's on Saturday, September 30th. And that features really good regional talent, and we're really excited about who we just booked for that, but I can't say who it is right now.
Oh.
But it's really good.
It
and
is a
it's
tease, isn't
big time.
it?
I was going to say, will you be allowed to say in 2 weeks? And can we then splice this into the episode and it'll come out?
no,
As long as
we're not
you can
gonna
make it sound good.
we're not going to announce till June.
Cool.
But we're really excited. We're stepping up. It's really our time to showcase music, and that's our big music event. And so we're taking it up a notch, or 2 or 3 this year. We have 5 bands play that day, and
Wow.
both of these events are free admission.
Oh, cool.
So just come, enjoy some beers, enjoy some really good food, and hang out. It's an awesome time.
And actually, tomorrow, I know we were going to talk about this later, but it has to do with music. We've got the release of the Schuylkill River Trail Ale, the SRT Ale, and there's a bunch of things going on. There's I don't know, 30 people kayaking from Pottstown to Phoenixville. There's a bike ride to Philly and back, and there's a 50K relay all in Phoenixville at St. Michael's Pavilion. But we're doing a fundraiser with the Canal Association there, and we've got Chestnut Grove coming out to play, and Frog Holler. There's a band from Reading that's going to.
Oh yes, I saw Frog Holler on the website earlier. I meant to mention that to you on the way here.
We're super excited. We think good beer goes with life and music goes with life. Of
course,
and they just go together. So we're excited for that tomorrow. So
Is that event also free?
it's free.
So all
I
these
know we're going to
events.
start charging for these events.
Oh, that's pretty well, and then
What a
people
novel
will be
idea.
more willing to buy more beer, I guess.
That is true.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what we hope for.
That's what you hope for. So I want to go back to Can Jam for a moment. So is the focus then? We talked about the jam part of it with the 5 bands, but is the focus canned beer?
It's canned beer, but we have adopted a game that was invented in Buffalo called Can Jam with a K.
Okay.
Our events with a C.
It's kind
But
of
it's
our
a-
brewery's sport.
It
Nice.
is our official sport. If you get a job at Sly Fox, you have to play Can Jam before we can actually offer the job. And I don't know that anyone has lost their job because they couldn't play, but we've had the conversation like, look, you have to learn how to throw a frisbee, or you can't work here. kind of
Okay,
thing.
it's a frisbee
there's a
game.
frisbee
Yeah, I was
game.
wondering
It's
what it
almost
is.
like-
I
guys
wanna
know-
know.
you guys don't know the game?
No.
No,
Oh
but
my-
first I want to know, is that the only qualification to get a job here?
Pretty much.
It's all you need to be able to do.
It's pretty important. It's like out of the 10 points, it takes up 2 of them. But anyways, it's kind of like, it's a little bit like horseshoe frisbee, but you've got a goal that's made out of plastic, and it's got a slot in the middle, but it's open on the top. And you have a partner on the 50 feet away with this goal, and you'll throw the frisbee. If you send it through the slot, the game's over. You won. If you throw it through the top and it goes right in unaided, the game's over and you've won. But it's like a game to 21. If you hit the outside of the can unaided, it's 2 points. If your partner deflects it to the can, the outside, it's 1 point. And if they deflect it into the center, it's 3 points. So it's really a lot of fun, back and forth, and we've altered their official rules. We adopted all the rules, but we added one, which was you must have a can of beer in your hand.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's one-handed can jam. Officially, you can play can jam with 2 hands, but never as Sly Fox.
But can jam with a C, you have to have a
That's
beer.
where you have.
But 3 years ago, I was texting Mitch Rubin and Charlie, who invented the game, and it was the day of Can Jam, and I was just super psyched. And I texted him, I said, hey, guys, we had 98 teams today playing Can Jam. And Charlie texted me back and said, we only had 86 at the World Championship. So he said, you guys have basically pulled off the biggest Can Jam tournament in the world.
It's amazing.
So
this
took
is
us-
your game now. There you go.
well, and
Well, last year we got him down here.
last year Charlie came and he was like the Pope walking through the crowd. Everyone's like kissing his ring, and it was a lot of fun. His mind was blown. But I think we had 112 teams.
No, we
last
had
year?
close to 160 teams.
160.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we are
A couple of dropouts, but it was 160.
So how many games are
registrations.
going on at one time? I'm
A
trying
bunch.
to picture this in my head.
yeah, I imagine it
Well, we
doesn't
use
take
the
up a whole lot of
neighbors' field
space.
too,
so,
not
yeah.
just our field,
Is,
but the neighbors'
is
field
it a
down there.
tournament style?
Yeah. It's a giant tournament.
How many people are on a team? Is it just like two?
Just 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the big prize?
You win your weight in beer.
No shit.
I should have played last
really
year when I weighed a lot
Really?
more.
Bring your weight.
Your weight
so
or
we have a
yours
big
and your
scale.
weight?
I was going to say
The
there-
weight of the team.
There's
Okay.
an upside and a downside. The
guys.
upside is you have the beer. The downside is I have to know how much I weigh then.
Well, not
Shotgun
really.
Dan.
We have
Dan's
a
on my
method for
team.
that.
Not really, though. What we do is, I don't know if you guys know in Philadelphia, Standard Tap and Johnny Brenda's.
Yeah, of course.
So William Reed's a friend of mine, a friend of the brewery, and he actually built a scale for us.
Oh, nice.
The scale is bigger than these. It's not quite the size of these 2 picnic tables put together.
Close.
But it's not far off the ground, but it's got these big circles, and the team stands on the circles. We empty their pockets because we found weights, like 5-pound weights in their pockets.
Smart.
So, and they'll stand on there, and then we start loading up cases of beer. We usually start at 20 because everyone, 2 people weigh 20, and then we start adding on, and the whole crowd.
Oh, so you
counts
don't
the
actually have to
cases.
know the number.
It's just
So
okay,
they
they
man.
balance
we
you
don't
in
weigh
beer.
in, so you
Okay.
weigh 250 pounds.
That I
Right,
can
right,
handle.
right.
But we wait for it to start to teeter, and the team's usually leaning off the backside trying to get all their weight. And then, once it's even, we say that's how many cases they win. So
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
We
pretty
totally
incredible.
need to enter
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
So you have to register ahead of time, or do you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
register when you get here?
Yeah, it usually fills up pretty quick, actually.
So you had 160 teams last year. Is that your cap?
Close to that. Yeah, I think. I
We
mean,
haven't-
otherwise we'd need to have it in another field down the
we
street.
haven't discussed. We have to have that meeting of, hey, it went well. It went really smooth, but whether we're going to add teams or not.
It's like a double elimination tournament, I think.
Now, do you have like a practice green somewhere, like in golf, where you get to like practice
Well, we usually have it
tossing
set up right in
first?
front of the brewery all the time. So
Yeah, you
anyone.
can
Oh,
play
there's,
anytime.
is there one here now?
Probably. It's like around the corner.
If they're not
Wow.
playing,
Seriously?
if they're not playing, you could go in and give the bartender a credit card and take the game out and play with it as long as you want, and bring it back in. And
See, I feel like we would need to practice first.
Yeah.
I think
But
it's a
it
good
could
idea.
be like when I play darts, and I'm way better when I drink more anyway.
Well, that's why you have a can of beer. Do you lose points if you drop your beer?
you lose. The
You
game
just lose the game.
Is that a new rule? I feel like you just made that up, Brian.
I think it's a good rule.
It depends
I,
on which team you're on.
I like how there's like the one shot win. Like if you get this shot, the game's over. You
Game's
win.
over, yeah.
If you drop your beer, game's
You
over.
throw
You
through the
lose.
slot,
it was,
you win.
It was really cool talking to Charlie, who invented the game, and that wasn't part of the game when they first invented it. And he actually had this whole psychology of, he talked to like psychologists about games. Mm-hmm. And one of the things was like something unexpected that could happen. And I said, yeah, like when in football, when like they kick off and the guy runs right back for a touchdown. No one would expect that,
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. And so we struggled, and then we came up with the instant win. And that like made that was it. We were like done.
Because sometimes a game can take 20 minutes if you're not that good.
Yeah.
Then it's over in one throw.
That's
Interesting.
awesome. I'm so excited. I want to play
what
this
the
game so
ultimate
badly.
can jam game is?
What's that?
To be down enough that you can't win.
It's like 20 to nothing.
then-
and then
And then
throw right
you
to the
steal
slot.
it
One
with a
shot
slot
kill.
at the end. It's like the ultimate glory, frozen in motion as you jump up in the sky with the beer in one hand and the arm thrusted in victory in the other, and the other team with the mouth wide open in
The
disbelief.
falling to their
Yep.
knees and shouting to the
no
heavens.
nice.
That sounds really, really
So
cool.
I can't like that, and then like bands playing
It's
and
an awesome
great
game.
local food trucks.
Yeah, it sounds like
Like I
cool.
thought the goat races were the best event here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, they are.
Now that
might
I
be
know
right.
what Can Jam is, like
But, yeah,
you need
Can
to
Jam is-
advertise this more so people know what it is. I was just like,
it's
you jam
growing
and you
every
drink
year.
cans.
I mean, Can Jam's only a few, 5 or 6 years old. I mean, it's grown every year, and last year was definitely our biggest one for sure. We
Wow.
probably had 3,000 people here.
Jeez.
Wow.
I can't
That's
imagine
awesome.
that.
Now, how many people did you get for the most recent goat race?
The most recent go race was a downer. We probably had around 3, but
Oh,
it
that's
was
right.
horrible
It
weather.
rained. So the year
Yeah.
before, because
The
I
year
didn't come this
before,
past year. I came
the
the year
cops
before.
told me it was between 8 and 10,000.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a madhouse because we would go all the time when it was at the Phoenixville location.
Oh, yeah?
And it was always a busy event, but it was fun. And then I remember the first time I came here and I was like, holy crap, this is amazing that all these people want to come out and watch goats race. It's the coolest thing ever.
I
And it's a tent of all German beers, so I'm in
Can't go
heaven.
wrong.
That's give me
Whole
my
lot of
Stein,
Bock.
and you're the. I think
Whole
we're
lot of
tasting
Bock.
it tonight. The Hefeweizen Doppelbock. Yes, that's one of my
Very cool.
favorite beers ever. I love that beer.
I've always wondered, how did that start, the goat races?
Great question.
The true story.
Yes,
The true story. This is
you hear
behind
it
the
first.
music right here.
Behind the
Tale
beer.
untold.
It was my idea.
Oh, really?
But where did you get the idea?
So I used to work for John Harvard's Brewing Company, and when I was in Cleveland, I had an assistant brewer that had a goat. And we did a Bock beer festival. So it had nothing to do with goats, but he just brought his goat. And people really loved that. And it was a little pygmy goat, so it was very small and cute. And it was funny. It shit all over the sidewalk and everywhere. And people, they were like, oh, it's so cute. They didn't care. And it was like something about that. So when
Well, their turds are just like little.
yeah,
like,
well,
just
it's
little
like
pieces
a
of
grass
cereal
pellet
or something.
right?
Yeah.
So when I moved here, wanted to do something to kind of feature Bock beer, and we had a farmer that had a bunch of goats, and I said, how many goats do you have? And he said, I've got 6. I said, I'm not going to ask you for anything else. We'll give you free grain for your animals. Just can you bring those 6 goats? I'll buy you dinner, blah, blah, blah. We're going to race them. And so he did, although he slaughtered one in between when he agreed to, and then so we only had 5. So that was the first goat race, not too far, at a brewery called New Road Brew House. It's no longer there. And there was maybe 12 people there. And I think 500 people have told me they were at the first one.
That's funny.
Of course, it's like
And-
everyone was at Woodstock.
And
Yeah.
one of the people that was there was Corey Reed, who would work. He was bartending at Sly Fox at the time, and he still works for us. He doesn't bartend as much anymore, but he sells beer for us. And when I eventually started working for Sly Fox, he said, we got to do that goat race thing here.
So when
So-
you started working here, what, 95?
No, not that.
That's when we
2000.
No, that's when you were founded, 2002.
2000,
I'm trying to get all
2001.
my dates
Yeah.
together.
It's all right.
So
It's a lot
what
of
year
dates.
was this first non-Sly Fox
Might have
goat
been
race?
2001,
I think it
So
was.
right before
I think
you guys.
ours was 2000.
2000.
I think.
So, but Corey said we have to do this, and so I made a my Bock. There was just one Bock beer that year, and the whole service staff, everyone that worked at the restaurant was like, "Yeah, right." And so they're like, "Really going to have goats here?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Yeah, right." And the whole time, so it was very busy that day, and they were just besides themselves trying to keep up with and they look up at me and like, almost like in bewilderment, and then like pissed off, like you really race goats, you bastard.
My favorite was when the goat races fell on May the 4th.
Oh, May the 4th.
And all the
man.
swag and the glassware was May the 4th.
Yes.
I
Star Wars theme.
still have my
Yes,
mug.
you and I were there together.
Yep,
That's
I have
right.
my mug from that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
awesome.
jealous of
That
you
was
guys.
still in Phoenixville.
Yeah.
We're very happy that George Lucas was in the middle of working with Disney on a deal.
So he didn't notice.
We kind of, the lawyers just distracted the whole thing, and then
Yeah.
it just went away.
Yeah, because
So-
it had the goat like heads with stormtrooper
Oh
masks.
yeah,
like,
I still have. That's
stormtrooper
one of the
goats.
mugs I actually have in my cabinet,
Yeah,
not one
those
that's
are
on
really
the shelf
awesome.
somewhere because
Yeah.
I use that
yeah,
one.
Way to duck that copyright infringement.
Well,
That's pretty
Well
Disney
done.
would not put up with that today.
No,
so.
they would not. They would not.
I can't believe that. That's so funny. The original, and now it's 8,000 to 10,000 people
Yeah.
coming and
Yeah.
listening
And
to music
it's one
and
of those
drinking
events
beer.
that you
and
see reported on like all across the country, the world. You see
Yeah.
these lists of like the beer events you have to go to, and Sly
It's on
Fox
there,
goat
yeah.
races.
Well,
always
we've got
on there.
other people
Yeah.
copying the event now. There's people goat racing all across America now.
isn't that the best form
It's
of flattery?
crazy.
Is
It
that
is.
what they
Started
It's
say?
flattery.
Started
is.
the trend.
Although it feels a little funny to me. But
Yeah.
Next thing you know, there's going to be can jam tournaments at every brewery in the country.
Well, see, I love, well, and we started coming to the goat races because Colin Presby is
yeah.
a very good friend of
Team
ours, and
Peggy.
we would come to see Peggy and Simon and to cheer them on.
Yeah.
But I just love that it was a local event that celebrated German beers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
especially, craft beer is gone by the way of the hoppy beer and the IPA, which are great styles, but I think this area as a whole, we're so rooted in German culture and, German beer. It's neat to see it celebrated and everyone
And
with
that's
their,
what, yeah.
and it's not an Oktoberfest too.
Yeah,
I don't have to
that's
wait
true,
for
yeah.
September to
Right.
come around to enjoy
You
a
don't
German
see
beer
a lot
fest.
of like really big German beer events that aren't Oktoberfest.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
you know what's funny? Colin, Peggy, and Simon are part of the I'll call it folklore that grew the goat races. Of course, who would have ever thought that a three-legged goat could win a race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if somebody said, "Hey,
Twice.
how much would you pay if I could get a three-legged goat to win the goat race?" I don't know that we had much money, but we would have emptied our pockets trying to figure out how to pay for it. We couldn't have paid for it. And I think the beautiful spirit of the event, even having Colin, a local brewer, racing that goat year after year. Although I noticed that he got slower and the goats didn't get as
Yes.
slow as he got.
You said it.
I'm getting slower too, but but yeah, we couldn't have. And so, who would have thought a three-legged goat could win 2 years in a row?
And then another three-legged
I would have
goat.
never bet money that a second three-legged goat would win the third year
Simon.
over the other three-legged goat that refused to race.
Yes.
It sounds fake.
It
know.
does.
It
It
sounds
sounds totally
fixed.
fake. Yeah.
Well, go to
absolutely.
beerbusterspodcast.com because
can-
we've
yeah.
covered many of them,
Yeah,
and you
we
can
have.
see pictures of all the glory.
That's like one of those things that sounds fake, but you can't make it up either. That's
No,
the beauty
you
of
can't
it.
make this shit up.
stuff
Just
up.
too crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So you guys have been in existence since '95.
Correct.
Okay. Was the first location the Phoenixville one?
Yes.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, across the street from the current Phoenixville location.
Okay. Are there any beers that are still on now that were some of the original lineup?
No.
Okay.
Question mark?
Question mark. Yeah,
Really,
maybe.
No, I mean a little bit. The Phoenix Pale Ale was when I started. We were brewing a beer called the Amber IPA, and it was really more like the Phoenix Pale Ale. So that beer morphed and then got renamed. So I guess it has a lineage all the way back to the start.
So it's like an homage to it then.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
That's cool. It also speaks to like the evolution of the brewing then too to go to what you have now. And so I mentioned earlier one of the beers that is one of my favorite in the world is Pikeland Pils. I absolutely love that
Yes,
beer.
a Pils. I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It's so good.
I'm so proud of you right now.
Really? Well, thank
Pilsners
you.
are like my favorite.
Oh, they're
Nobody
great.
likes Pilsners.
They're great. Well, they're good if they're
man.
done right, and this one is certainly done right.
Yeah, that's
and I
true.
love that I can go to my local Acme and I can get a 6-pack of it.
There's the
and
Acme.
it's not very expensive.
How are they not paying us?
I know
I
they
know,
need
right?
to. Acme,
I
come
will,
on.
I will say, it is a mark of accomplishment that you can find Sly Fox beers on the shelves at that Acme, because they actually don't have that huge of a selection, and like some like really cool local breweries you won't find there, but you'll always find Sly Fox there.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
help us out. Keep pulling it off the shelf so
Yeah.
we can stay on the
That's
shelf.
right.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
Especially
right.
this day and age. It's crazy
That's
out
true.
there.
The
Oh,
number
yeah.
of
Oh, yeah,
choices. it's
definitely.
overwhelming.
Yeah, and now specifically at that store too, they sell wine there. Since now grocery stores can sell wine,
Yep.
so one of their entire aisles that was beer is now wine. So they lost that many accounts then, or I guess that many breweries lost that account, I should say. But yeah, Sly Fox is still
They
there.
need to do what Wegmans did. They just built. They
They built
opened
a
another
beer
room
area.
You really should.
for the
Yeah.
wine.
Yeah.
The beer is still there.
Well, thank you, and we really take pride in making great German lagers. I mean, that's true to our core, and hence, the Bock Fest and making a lot of Bock beers. I mean, we feel like it's important, and like you said, local tie-ins, and all the German immigrants and descendants are from this area. So,
And these breweries would not be here if it wasn't for those original German brewers. So we have to pay respect to them.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course we do.
Mad props.
So
one pint at a time.
So the original Phoenixville location, and then it moved across the street, and then the Royersford location opened
No,
up, or
backwards.
the other way.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Help my timeline here.
Well, Rofo was about 2002.
Rofo. I've never heard Rofo.
Oh, Rofo, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Rofo.
I feel like I'm
Going
in
to
now.
Rofo.
I feel like I'm in that I know it.
We had started to sell some beer out, draft beer to Philadelphia taverns mostly in Phoenixville, and then started looking for some more equipment to maybe open another brew pub, but with more space to do production. And I remember I found a really great German-built brew house in Ohio. And Peter's uncle John had said, well, yeah, start looking for equipment a little bit. And I found this equipment. I said, John, I know it's way too early. You just told me to start looking yesterday. But this is a screaming deal. And 2 weeks later, we had bought the equipment. So certainly describes John's kind of energy.
Yeah.
So, but we ended up storing that equipment for a year, and then we built like a brew pub that was 7,000 square feet brew pub, like restaurant, and then 6,000 square feet for a small production facility. And so we started doing big cork finish bottles, and also we signed with a distributor and started selling draft more widespread. And interestingly enough, we eventually grew out of that facility and came here and opened this facility in Pottstown. And now that facility is another brewery called Stickman. So they went in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so you could still kind of feel the vibe. But Phoenixville had been in its spot for 14 years, and we actually then signed a lease and moved across the street, before we opened here, but shortly before. So it's in the same spot, and actually if you drove to the old one, you can see the sign for the new one, but it's across the street.
Very cool. And now, it's a 40-barrel system here?
Yep, 42.5 barrel, 50 hectoliter.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how often are you brewing?
It depends on the day, but 15 times a week-ish.
Wow.
And what is your
wow.
brewing staff? How many?
We have...
Like
2 guys
9?
making work,
Yeah.
but we've got, guys packaging, kegging,
Right.
canning. So there's probably 9 guys, and we have a quality guy and some operations guys, and so it's
Our warehouse guy.
warehouse
Lubes.
guy.
We have a warehouse guy named Lubes.
Nice.
Shout out to Lubes.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's up, Lubes?
I don't think he
Let's
knows
go,
what a
Lubes.
podcast is, but
Well, you have to introduce him to it.
That's funny. So German styles have been a part of the DNA of Sly Fox from the beginning.
Yeah.
That always sort of been
very much so. And actually, even before we had Brian brewing for Sly Fox, Bill Moore was our brewer, who had come from Stouts and
Right.
was brewing at. He went to Independence. Was that afterwards, or was that afterwards? Well, but he was brewing for us for a little while, and then he went to Independence. Now he was brewing for. He was the brewmaster for Lancaster for a number of years, and now he's actually doing sales for Lancaster. So he's out of the brew house and doing.
He's like
sales.
their mascot, I think.
Yes, actually, he lives in Pottstown, so we see him here all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He's a
good
I love
buddy.
seeing him at fests and out of places, and he's kind of like Tom Kehoe, just those beer guys, the local industry beer guys that you just see them and they're just like
Yeah, and such a nice guy.
the heart of
Like,
their
just-
breweries. Yeah.
Are there any plans to expand at all beyond the 2 locations?
I mean, we have.
Come on,
a little
it's
bit
been
of
5
space
years now,
here.
guys.
Yeah, right. I mean, we have been expanding, just not very, location wise.
Right,
I mean,
right.
just inside, we've been adding tanks. We've been adding tanks a little in the backyard.
Well, even this wasn't here last time I was here.
Sure.
This
I mean, if you're
outdoor,
talking about, the
indoor,
restaurant space,
outdoor
yeah.
pavilion thingy.
Yeah, that's actually what we call it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, we're sort of like an indoor-outdoor type of space,
It's super cool.
The plastic. I imagine these roll up or can be removed and it'd be
Yeah,
open air.
actually, they're going to be rolled up probably next week.
Okay,
So that it is open for the Bock Fest.
Right.
But
It's a nice spot. It's a nice little pavilion. I suppose it's
So-
the proper
Pavilion.
term.
So I think what Peter meant to say, we've been expanding distribution, but there are some really interesting benefits to breweries now in Pennsylvania that we have these satellite options, and we're looking at a bunch of opportunities, but nothing to talk about yet.
Yeah.
So
That's exciting.
And I was going to, perfect segue, I was going to ask, how wide is your distribution currently?
I guess Virginia up to Connecticut.
Okay, because I mean, you see your beers
We only
everywhere,
go as
yeah.
west as Pennsylvania, and
up in Rochester and Buffalo too.
Okay, cool.
yeah, I guess that is further north.
Yeah, and pretty
North of
far
state,
west.
but-
Yeah, Mid Atlantic, Jersey, Maryland, DC, PA, New York. Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, a lot of your beers are canned, and it seems like you were sort of one of the earlier breweries to really jump on the can bandwagon. You guys have been canning for a long time. How long have you guys? When did you start doing cans?
2002, I think.
Okay, so
Yep.
you're like
when we
old
got
school,
their first
OG
canning line.
Yeah.
And the 360
and the
can.
360
Can we
can.
talk about that for a second?
Wait,
The
what's
can
that?
that's also a pint glass.
I remember vividly the first time I ever had a 360 can. It's kind of amazing. Because I love drinking beers out of a can, but when you drink a really good hoppy beer, you do miss out on the aroma.
Yeah.
It kind of changed my
Problem
world a
solved.
little bit.
Yeah, I was like cans are a great vessel for storing beer, better than bottles in a lot of ways, as we know.
That is a fact.
but I always like to like pour out a beer into a glass
No,
when you drink
I like
it.
to drink it out of the can.
You do like to drink it out of the
Oh,
can?
yeah, for
I
sure.
always prefer to pour it out, but with a 360 can, you get the best of both worlds.
So the first time you had the 360 can, you remember
Yes.
that I thought I broke the can the first time I had one.
Nice.
It's like
No
either I
one's
broke
supposed
it
to
or
do
it's
that.
faulty or something. Like, what the hell's happening right now? And then I realized with the second one that it was supposed to happen.
No, it would be really funny. Is like your first thought is, "Oh shit, I broke the can," and then wait a minute, this is a really good idea. I should write this down. Like, oh, they did it on purpose.
You want to hear a funny story? So that end had been designed and patented by Crown Cork and Seal. They're a Philly company, and it was only used by Anheuser-Busch at the Brazilian World Cup. And so a salesperson mentioned it to me, and I said, "What? I got to see this." And we jumped on the computer and Google. Tell me about this. How do we do this? Oh, you don't want it. You don't want. No,
Yeah.
So that's how that started. But if you take the ring, the tab, and you spin it out of its center, and then force it, you can like rip the ring off, and then it can be a problem opening the can at all. And so we got some samples of the ends or the lids, and we put them through the seamer. And I had a bunch. We had our marketing team together, and everyone sat down. Everyone opened the can, and one person cracked it open, but pulled on the tab. Instead of pulling it back, they pulled it forward so hard that it ripped off, and then they couldn't open the beer. And we all went, "Oh my God! Like, what if people do that, and then they can't get the beer out?
Yeah.
They'll hate us, right?" So we had a special beer event with a bunch of friends and family and people that invest in the brewery, and we had 80 cans, and we handed them all around the room, and we asked them all to open them at the same time. And one person did that. They didn't twist it back. They pulled it forward, and they ripped the ring right off, right? And it is funny because they just kept pulling, and it's a certain personality, right, that does this. So everyone turned and looked at them and said, "You idiot." And like no one blamed the brewery. They all blamed the person.
Wow.
And all of a sudden we're like, we can do this. We can do this.
It's fine.
Nice. That's
User
awesome.
error.
Instant like, oh my God, what if ever like, because as a consumer, you keep the beer from me, I get angry. But
It's like when you open a beer that you don't think is corked, and then you're like, "Oh fuck, there's a freaking cork in it."
Pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I got
Who
to find
tried
my
to open it with a screw?
Dan and I,
Yeah,
because we
us.
couldn't find a corkscrew, so we used an actual
Yeah.
screw and some pliers because we wanted it was blood and guts. We were
Yep.
like, we want this fucking beer.
Yep. And the next week, I found my pocket knife that had the corkscrew on it.
See, in that sense, you're like, well, okay, I'm annoyed, but like, they put a cork in, you take it out with a corkscrew, which we could talk about that later. But imagine if you're like, I did what I was supposed to do, and now
And it
I'm
still didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I have talking about like the mechanics of the can. Is it like a higher production cost or materials cost to produce that can?
So
I would assume.
you might call it the lid, but we call it the end of the can that gets
Right.
put on and then seamed. That end is different, and it does cost us more.
Right. But you find that it's worth it for the
We just
The
think
marketing
it's so
of it, and because
freaking cool.
it's cool
Yeah.
that you'll pay
Yeah.
any amount of money to have that cool can.
Well, we're still trying to figure ways to use it for more products, but for more beers. But it is not legal in every state because of
interesting.
litter laws.
Okay.
And
okay.
Like New Jersey, right?
like New Jersey, like New York.
Actually, every other state we sell them, you can't sell it at all.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
only
know- I
in
didn't
PA.
realize that.
So it's one
different-
time when Pennsylvania is actually better.
It's actually because they were so behind the times back in the 70s that they didn't get around to like making that littering law like
wow.
everyone else did. So now, like 40 years later, it's helping us.
Yeah. So we're not ahead of the times with beer laws. We're behind the times on littering laws.
Yeah, right.
And it's
But
in our favor.
the only neighboring state that allows the lid is West Virginia, just to give you an idea of which states allow it and don't.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
So
But
there's
in most states, it's illegal.
Wow. So I guess you have to have like 2
Although
canning
I'm
lines.
gonna-
Now, wait a minute.
I
What
want to
about
defend Pennsylvania's old sentiment here because I don't want people to think.
I don't think
that,
it's a
like,
bad thing.
I don't want people to think that like deposit laws and things like that are new and we're old because we never had them though. But yeah, it's
No,
a
it's
litter
true.
law. It's not a liquor law thing, and we do sell Hellas to those states with the regular end on it.
Wow.
We call them Jersey Hellas.
Jersey Hellas, nice.
It's a good way to label it.
So that's got to be an extra production
Yeah.
concern as well, though, because now you have to do it in 2 different cans.
It's an extra
Well,
SKU.
2 different
Exactly.
tops.
It's
Yeah.
an extra SKU, but it's
Right.
easy production wise, but it's harder to plan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that
I
makes
guess you
sense.
could,
That makes sense.
in theory, use the same canning line for
We
it.
do,
though,
and
right?
it's very
yeah.
easy
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
There's
figured.
hardly any switch over. It's an amazing.
You just
product.
switch the lid that's going in the machine. That's it.
And that's
right.
all.
Simple.
Yeah, makes sense.
The magic
It's
is
everything else
already
that's
in
hard.
that part
Yeah.
of it. It's not part of the.
You said
how it's
magic is
actually-
already there?
The magic's already in there.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yep. We buy magic.
You buy it pre-magicked.
Pre-magic.
Well, I'm glad it's legal here because I
too.
love those cans, and please keep using them because it's awesome.
And don't litter.
And
Come
don't,
on.
well,
Yeah,
of
don't
course.
be a
Regardless.
douchebag.
Yeah.
Don't be a
No, it
douchebag.
is
That's what we
crazy,
should
though,
print on
because
the top of the lids. Actually, don't be a douchebag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that'd be
that's
great.
what
No,
the
they-
Alchemist
yeah,
puts
the
on.
Alchemist
That's what
does
it
that.
was, yeah.
Or they say D-bag.
Do they say D-bag?
Yeah,
They
don't
should
be a D-bag.
put douchebag. Don't.
Put douchebag.
Well,
Just
I
if
mean,
you're gonna
Brewers
go-
Association might
Go
not let
whole
you
hog.
do that anymore.
Oh, true. It might be illegal.
When in doubt, go full douchebag.
Well, they said
Context.
F you to the Star Wars thing. They're like, we're doing it
We're
anyway,
doing it.
so maybe
Yeah.
they'll just do it.
Well, I don't know about you guys. My glass is empty. I could use another
I know. I
beer.
was going to say.
It's like that kind of time.
So we already had the SRT earlier, but now we're having a Pils. So it's not the Pikeland Pils, but it is the dry hopped Pils, right?
No, it's Pikeland.
So it is Pikeland. Okay. So what's on your sheet? Then what?
Oh,
what
then
was
it's
that?
not the dry hop pills?
You just said pills, and I got Pikeland pills.
Hey, I'm
That's
cool with
fine.
Pikeland. Hey, ooh, trust me. All right. So
I
the
kind
beer-
of want just a sip of the dry hop pills, though.
We can do
Just
that
to
too.
we need
All
to
right.
like do a side by side.
Side
I
by
didn't.
side.
I didn't want to commandeer the whole. I just got pills. I just,
that's fine. Trust me. We already know how.
If
I
I
feel about
send
Pikeland.
Rich, will they give us some?
It's such a nice, light, crisp beer. It's refreshing.
You just wanted
and
to see this. This is why you got
Exactly.
Probably- yeah, right.
Yeah,
You see,
I'm
one of
really
the
happy
gushing-
this is happening.
Gush about the beer, yeah.
Well, you know what? It's
We
cool.
just like to see people happy.
yeah.
That's a good way to. That's a
Can't
good
blame
spin.
you.
That should be the tagline.
is.
Sly Fox.
Yeah.
We just want to see you happy.
It's a fantastic Pilsner. I mean, I like Pilsners. I
love
you know,
Pilsners.
The
I just think it's a
St.
good idea to
Boniface that
try.
recently came out was
Oh,
freaking delicious.
John
We
makes
just
great
had that
pilsners
recently.
at
and-
Boniface, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and we talked about this before in this episode, and we've talked about it a million times before, but good German beers in Pennsylvania are just amazing.
They're top notch.
Yeah,
We are spoiled here.
we are.
We are very
And it's
spoiled.
because of places like Sly Fox that have been doing it for ever.
Anyway, who did it first? Which modern craft brewery?
Stouts Brewing.
Well,
Probably, yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, that
I didn't
makes
even
sense.
have to ask Carol
Yeah.
Stout.
Yeah.
They did it first, and I think Victory shortly after. Not too
Yeah.
far after. It was a big.
But this is cool because then we'll try the Pikeland, and then we'll try the
Yeah,
dry
with
hop.
the dry hop.
You know, and
That's awesome.
So is the dry hop
dissect.
a similar recipe or the same as the Pikeland and then just dry hopped, or is it a different?
It's not the same. It's similar in the the base beer, mostly Pils malt, and simple way that we mash the beer is all the same, but they're different hops.
Okay.
But it's interesting because we used Hallertau Blanc and Mandarin Bavaria. They're two newer German varieties, and especially the Blanc has more of a white wine kind of character to it.
Oh.
And it does have a slight vintness nose, and I really enjoy the beer, but it's interesting, like, it does soften the perception of bitterness a little bit. It doesn't seem quite as dry when you've got a dry hopped beer there.
Yeah, I get the
so
white wine
complex.
aspect.
Yeah. So now we're passing around a pint of the dry hop version to compare.
Smell it. You have
and
to.
contrast.
The bouquet is
Yeah,
delightful.
absolutely. Yeah, you're right. No, it's a little more subdued.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice. That's
it's
really
a
nice.
it's a nice take on it.
It has more a fruity aroma,
Yeah,
but like the hops that are in the brew are more of your traditional German hops.
So I take it this is like a seasonal release or a
It's a we wanted to brew it release.
nice.
Those are
I
the best
respect
kind.
that.
Those are the best kind. What I really like, you described it as like soft, and I think it's like the perfect.
Yes.
Like it's got the hop character, but it's soft. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I do think you've got bitterness in beer, and then you've got perception of bitterness, and so you could have a beer that's just as bitter, but it has more malt and it's richer, and you perceive it as not as dry or not as bitter. I think that the dry hop character of sometimes it happens with IPAs, but especially with pills, it kind of softens the dry finish of the beer. So it's not that it's actually less bitter; it's just you perceive it as less bitter.
Right.
that's a good way to look
Which
at it.
in the end is all that really matters.
Yeah,
You're right. That's all it. Yeah,
So any chance of canning some of these one-off or specialty releases?
there's always a chance.
I mean, you
So
can
you're saying
such
there's a
huge
chance.
core lineup of beers, but
We just, for the first time, canned a beer in a series called Hop Project, and so on that can we're date coding a number and a descriptor. So the first one said 001 IPA, the second one's going to be 002 IPA, and for at least the first 4 or 5, we know they're going to be similar veined IPAs, but we're all waiting to kind of get that rolling and kind of let people get to taste that beer and try it. But I think we're all waiting for the day we can put a Keller Pils or a dry hop Pils in that can. So, yeah, there's we get a lot of things, kind of on the shelves we're waiting to pull down. So
that's exciting. Now, do you guys do crowlers here?
we don't.
That surprises me because you've been on such the forefront of canning. I feel like that would be the next logical step.
Perhaps in the cards at some point, but
I like crowlers because they're it's a cool. You get to see a can seam right behind the bar while you're sitting there drinking. But there's something I don't like about it. It's not as sustainable as glass. So a 12-ounce can is way more sustainable than 12-ounce glass for multiple reasons. It's 100% recyclable. It's easier to ship. They're more likely to get recycled. And there's all these different reasons. The double seam protects the beer against oxygen ingress from a bottle crown. But when you're buying a glass growler at your local brew pub and you get it filled and you take it home and you rinse it out when you're done
And you bring it back.
and you bring it back, you're reusing. So recycling is awesome, but reusing is even better.
Yeah.
Now, for someone that travels all around the country going to breweries, I am way more likely to get beer to go if I can get in a crowler because
Yep.
I can throw it in my suitcase. I can throw it in the back of my car. I don't have to carry glass with me. So for me, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
And the beer lasts a lot longer.
It does,
I
and
found
I-
a crowler of an IPA. I forgot I bought.
yeah.
It was in my fridge for 8 months,
Yep.
and I was like, "Oh crap!" I opened it. That beer was freaking delicious.
Yeah.
If I would have
It's-
had a
and I
growler in the
think-
back of my fridge for 8 months, that beer would have been terrible.
But I think Brian makes some good points in that, and I never really thought about it. Like when you buy a growler, like you're gonna use that growler again and
Yes.
again
Well,
and again and again.
Unless you're like me, and you have
or you're going to
170 of them.
display it, which you might do with a crowler.
I've
Dan
got
and
a
I have some
couple, yeah.
crowlers like on shelves and stuff, but
No, but I get what he's saying. though.
so it's kind of like a pros and cons because it does keep the beer much fresher. The other thing is you can't reclose it. Like you
Oh
can't.
yes, you can.
Oh,
I purchased.
Duct
We
tape?
were at Oscar Blues last week, and I
found this
purchased
great
my
thing. It's
very
called duct
first
tape.
resealable crowler. It's not reusable, however.
Did it kind of slip over like this?
If I could video what you're doing right now.
This is radio. You can't make
Yeah, that's
hand
true.
motions.
Oh, there were some crazy hand gestures going on
Yeah.
during our little break recently.
Yeah.
I just have to say,
that was kind of weird.
I don't know exactly.
Those
what
guys
was
at Oscar Blues, they're so freaking clever. It pisses me off.
Oh, she's got a picture of
So that's
so it's like a
threaded
crowler
top.
with a threaded.
yeah.
And the bartenders hate
Yeah.
filling them.
Yeah, well, it's
But
not really a
I just
growler,
think it's
though.
cool.
It's an aluminum growler.
In my
It's-
personal opinion, I really don't think it's that hard to drink 32 ounces of beer. Like, just open
It's
it and
not.
drink it.
No, and I
But
could easily do
it's
it
a
as
really
well,
cool concept,
but-
and I drove there just to get this.
Can you reseal?
cool.
Can you get it refilled though?
No, they're not refillable. They're just resealable.
How are they not refillable?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like, if you can reseal it, you could put more beer in it and
Yeah.
seal it
But
again.
it's just a little hole on the
So
top.
use the
thing.
But then,
thing, the
but it
tube.
needs we have to be able to take off you need the seal. That's the problem. Because it seals around here. It's not sealing
But
where
if
you're
it's a-
closing.
Oh,
it.
when you first fill it,
Well,
it
right.
seals around the seam on the
Yes.
edge.
Okay,
And then,
but-
okay, I see what you're saying.
It's like saying.
But
Yes.
even but that kind of defeats the purpose, though, because if you're getting that crimped seal around the edge of the top, but you've got a twist off thing in
Well,
the middle.
I think the idea
is
is that you
seal
pour
really
a
doing
pint,
anything?
you can reseal it and put in your fridge, and then tomorrow night
Right,
you
but
can
even
drink the
so,
other
like,
How
pint.
much
even-
volume is in a crowler?
32 ounces.
32. So
That's why I said it's not that hard to sit and drink.
It's not.
that's 2 pints.
32 ounces of beer. It's
Yeah.
not hard.
I've-
But
It's not even a
it's
session.
just cool.
Yeah, it's not hard to drink
For
64
one person.
either, but the point is...
No,
We're not a-
you drink it right out of the crowler. Come on.
No, but I mean, crowlers are cool, but I do think we have not. We've been tempted, but we haven't done it because glass growlers are a little more sustainable.
No, you're right. And the reuse versus recycle thing, I'd never thought of that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, what about places where they don't recycle for whatever reason? Then you have to throw out the aluminum can, and then
Yeah.
it's just another thing that
Well,
winds up in
and
a landfill.
reusing is always better than recycling.
Of course, yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Like we said, yeah.
And I think even I imagine there's even a cost benefit from the brewery standpoint, because you sell a growler to someone, they're paying that upcharge for the growler itself.
Yeah, they're paying for the growler.
So when they
You
come
don't
back
pay
and
for
refill a growler, like, you're not, you probably would manufacture or order less of them.
And you're probably more likely to
on the
go
whole.
back to, most people don't own as many growlers as I am. I know I'm crazy. But if you commit to buying a growler from a place, even though most places will fill
I
anyone's
wonder how
growler,
many ounces of growlers you own. Like, if you filled every growler in your house with beer, how much beer would that be?
Well, how many growlers do you have?
I got to say, I bet you it's a frat party.
Well, I
like
think I
3
have
frat
around
parties.
170 times 64 ounces.
You have more than
10,880 ounces of beer.
Wait, how many?
How many
But how many
pints is
pi- yeah,
that?
how many
How many
Divided by
pints
16.
divided by 16? 680 pints.
680 pints.
Wait, how many ounces?
10,888.
10,880. If I have 100, I'm assuming I
I think
have about
you probably.
170.
Yeah, I thought you said you had like 300 at some point.
I did not have 300.
No?
That's probably Rich who influenced
Maybe it was
everything.
Rich saying that. Better question. If you take all of your untapped check-ins and assume that they're 12 ounces,
God.
how much beer is that?
Are you sure?
I don't.
Do you realize you have 5.5 kegs, half-barrel kegs worth of growlers in
Growlers.
your house? That is a substantial. That is more than a.
That's a
frat
party.
party.
I like this new segment.
with a lot
on
of
the podcast,
variety,
by the way. This is fun. Everybody break out your calculators. How many untapped check-ins do you have? 5,000?
Original, just unique check.
Yeah, unique. I'll say unique. We'll be conservative.
6,594.
6,594.
6,990.
Let's-
6,595.
6,500.
One of those numbers.
Whatever. And then we'll be conservative and say that they were all 12 ounces, though they probably varied greatly.
Oh, I bet you they're all 16.
79,000.
No, there's a lot of samplers in there too.
I know. 79,128 ounces. 16 in a pint.
Yes.
So
really?
divided by 16.
20 in an imperial pint.
So 4,945 points. So that's a lot more than the growlers in your house. I was just curious how those
Oh,
numbers
you wanted to
compare.
compare them. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more
And I
you
had to
know.
work hard to lose all that weight. Friends, if you drink beer, you're going to gain weight. When was the first time Sly Fox brewed the pills? Because to me, I kind of feel like it's always been there.
2001, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then-
ever since I
well-
could drink, it's been there.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
we probably canned it too. It was one of the first two beers. Phoenix Pale Ale and Pikeland Pills were the first two beers we canned, and that was 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's around when you came into Sly Fox. Was canning something your idea that you brought, or it just so happened that it coincided with when you joined
You
the
came and
brewery?
said, you know what this place needs? Goats and
Cans.
cans.
Goats and cans.
I guess when we opened the other bigger facility and started selling draft beer through a distributor, we knew we wanted to do some bottle conditioned beers. And as soon as we started doing them, we realized there was so many other great beers we wanted to package. And so trying to cost that out, what it would cost us to do it in glass, we realized that cans would be a better option. So it was really Pete Pete's Uncle John and myself that were just like, we couldn't wipe the shit-ass grin off our face when we kept thinking about cans. And so that's why we did cans.
So you brought the goats and you brought the cans.
Well, John, too. John was really...
Well, John's not here, so we
John
can give
didn't
you
do the
credit.
goats, though.
We might have his nephew.
John
but he's
thought
not
I was
here, so-
crazy for the goats. What the hell are you talking about? Just it's a Sunday. I won't be here. Just don't get hurt.
Do whatever
And
you
what
want.
did he say when there
but
were
then after-
10,000 people here?
Yeah, but then after it got successful, he became the line judge for a number of years until he had to get fired because he messed up the one year, 2014.
Oh, yeah, I was
Yeah,
here.
we were there.
I remember that.
There was a whole thing. In fact, we wrote an article on our website about it. We had to like make a retraction and an edit because it was
Goatgate.
It was
Goatgate. Yep.
Yes,
What was the name of the goat? Because you guys named the Maybach after the winning goat.
correct.
I can't remember what the name was.
Spartacus.
Spartacus.
So aptly named. Actually, it was our friends across the street at Frank A. Smith Beverage in Pottstown.
Yeah, right.
It was their goat.
Nice.
And they claimed the victory. They acted like they won. That goat was in fourth place. If you watch the video, not even first, second, or third.
Like not even close.
Nope. But we did have to brew a redemption Bock beer
That's right. Yes.
called
Yes.
the Gixxer Golden Bock.
Yep.
We did that.
Hey, you
now-
got 2 box out of it. It's all right.
The
know what,
politics
though?
of goat racing.
I
Two
almost
days
feel
of
like-
headlines, actually, because first
Yeah.
day is
Yeah, because we had to post it twice.
Spartacus wins, and then next day, controversy.
But I
Well, and
almost...
then it becomes like an ongoing scandal, so you get even more coverage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
he did
John
it.
gets
So John's
fired,
fired.
and now he doesn't have to do anything during the goat race day except for drink beer.
Yeah,
He
it kind
did
of
it on
worked against
purpose.
us.
Who's the smart one now?
I wonder. I might screw something up this year, Pete.
So what's your official
too.
job on the goat race day?
I don't know. I guess I MC, although
Master of ceremonies.
I've tried to be replaced a couple times and it's never
Doesn't
worked.
work.
Well,
That's
you
a-
have
I
to do
feel like-
something really raunchy or wrong or
No,
bad.
I feel like
or-
that's a harder job to get fired from because
You think?
Yeah, because like calling the race, like that's kind of like
a
cut
little
and
more
dry.
black and white.
Yeah, exactly,
that's true.
exactly. Being an MC,
Really, the only way he could get fired from being the MC is if he did something that would get him fired from Sly Fox.
that's true, and you gotta walk that line.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
It's a very fine line.
Speaking of beer, we've moved
Speaking of
on.
beer, we
Yeah.
have another beer.
Yeah, this
Well, you don't have it yet because you're not finished, so you can pour yourself.
Peter's lagging behind
He's,
here. but
he's
this
too
is-
busy eating pizza.
He's got pizza to eat.
This is Royal Weiss,
That
a
was
very
necessary.
traditional Hefeweizen beer. So brewed with generous portion of wheat malt and barley malt, and we use a very specific yeast that gives it some clove and kind of different fruity character to it.
I love a good Hefeweizen.
It's really good. It's definitely more towards like the traditional German Hefeweizen than it is like the American wheat version
Yep.
of the Hefeweizen, which is more like
I don't want no orange
citrusy.
in my
yeah,
wheat beer.
Yeah, and this is definitely more malty and biscuity, and it's got that great body that
That's
all
what
good
I was
German
looking
beers
for, biscuity.
have. Yeah, what I love about every German beer, even like the lighter beers, feels almost like it's almost like a food as well as a beer because it's just got such body and such fullness to it that it's just like it's like drinking bread, like literally.
Liquid
Yeah,
bread, yeah.
Liquid bread.
right. The way the beers are brewed and the recipes allow the malt to really be showcased.
Right.
I mean, especially in a beer like this beer or our Helles, I always feel like is a beer that's so simple, but also allows the malt to really be showcased.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a nice change of pace from all the crazy hoppy beers that are out there. Not that there's anything wrong with hoppy beers. We love hoppy beers, but
Sometimes you just
you need that counterbalance. Yeah. I think like German and English styles are like that sort of counterbalance. That
Oh.
malt.
Does
focus.
anyone
I
make
love
English styles anymore?
There is an amazing brewery in Seattle called Machine House.
That's
right
all they
near,
do.
it's
Yeah.
like south of the city near the Boeing airport, and they do all English ales, and they're all served on hand pump. I wanted to die there. I didn't want to leave. They were all so delicious and so amazing, and
You know you're having a good beer when you look at your watch, you take that first sip and you look at your watch going, how long am I here? I have to plot the rest of my evening out. This is so good.
yeah.
We take pride in always having an English style bitter available on Firkin for wholesalers to purchase, and we always have it on in our pub in Phoenixville on the hand pump.
Nice.
It's an amazing beer. It's like 4.5%. I usually get one or two every time I'm there.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Like last
Interesting.
night.
It's so great with food too.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
They're
I'm
great
curious to
food
know: is
beer.
that pot like does that sell well? I mean, I'm sure it's not the best selling thing there, but I'm sure.
I mean, we go through Firkin and a half a week
Yeah.
at Phoenixville, and I mean, It sells decent.
Yeah.
It sells really well, but we've got like 18 different beers available.
Oh, yeah, it's
Right.
true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's probably in the top 4, probably, maybe 5. But it's
Yeah.
so a couple hundred pints a week. But
Nice.
But I think it's an
We
underrated.
have people who come just for that beer.
Yeah.
I mean, we have English guys who come to the pub just to drink that.
That's
bitter,
cool.
And that's a testament to how good it is and how traditional it is.
Yeah,
Right.
and I feel it's just an underrated style of beer that the average craft beer drinker won't know to ask for. So I imagine like if you have like the Pikeland Pils, I'm sure it gets a lot of sales too. But the English style, I don't know, it's kind of like you said, Wayne. There's some that have it on for themselves mostly, but not everybody knows to try it or ask for it. They just want to go for the hoppy beer, or maybe they're getting into the sour beer or something they already know and love. Like I would love an English style wherever I go.
Right, and that's the beer actually you should get first.
Yeah.
Don't go right to the IPA because then after that your tongue's burned out with
You're
hops.
done. Yeah, of course.
Like get the bitter first, get the wheat beer first. Get a Royal Vice,
Yeah,
and then go for your favorite IPA or a new one.
yeah, I agree.
So while we have beer,
While we have beer,
can we have some fun?
I guess we should probably
Some
do
happy
the,
fun?
the game thing.
Is it that time
Do
again?
do that game thing.
That game
That
thing.
game thing.
Play that funky music, Dan boy.
That was the wrong knob. There we go. Hey, I know what I'm doing here.
That's what she said.
Well, Wayne, what do we got?
Cheers, Internet, and welcome once again to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that will be playing to sold-out arenas across the globe in a whirlwind tour. Today, we are playing Band or Beer.
Wow.
This is a game in which I will give you the name of something, and you must tell me if that is the name of a band or the name of a beer. Pretty simple. And we will begin in time, honor, tradition. To my left.
Oh,
with
I
Dan.
am to your left.
You are indeed to my left. Is this the name of a band or the name of a beer? It's called Gingerbread Nightmare.
I'm going to go beer.
Dan is saying that's a beer.
I don't know that I
Seth.
would listen to Gingerbread Nightmare.
I'm going to say beer.
Steph is also saying that it's a beer. Pete?
I'm going band.
Pete's saying it's a band.
With
Like
confidence.
a death metal, like knockoff.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Metal face.
Mannheim
He's
Steamroller,
going for bonus points by guessing the genre as well.
Oh, wait, there's bonus points?
If I feel like
What if
it.
I guess the style?
What
It is
sound do you
stout.
need?
Like
It's a seasonal
Halloween
stout.
themed music, but like death metal.
I was just going to say, if it's a beer called Gingerbread Nightmare, it's a lot easier to guess what style that would be as opposed to the genre if it's a band.
Whatever.
I'm just saying. Finally, Brian, band or beer?
I'm saying band.
Saying band as well?
And I think it's like alternative goth, like Nine Inch
Alternative
Nails.
goth.
Nice.
All right, fair enough. Team Sly Fox
Damn
is
it.
correct because it is in fact a band.
And what genre?
Gingerbread Nightmare is an alternative country punk band.
Whoa, that's
Ah.
weird.
So nobody was
That's-
There's
Wait,
a lot
that's a
going
thing?
on there.
really right there.
No extra credit for us.
They originated out of the sleepy burg of El Toro, California. They recorded their debut album in 1995 entitled Baked, Brown, and Pasted.
Wow.
The band's bio on
Not
Reverb
fuck you,
Nation.
Yankee Blue Jeans.
They list highlights from their time together, such as bulldogging a gig at the Galaxy Theater when the booking guy was ill, and Dave bullshit the crew that they were the opening act. Dave was in the band. They had only been together for 3 days, and they sucked, but they got free beer, so it was cool. And that time a ghost stole Keith and Zeke's pizza right out of the oven.
Wow.
Whatever
We
that
should
means.
hire them for can jam.
Yes, you should.
Sounds
go.
great.
Sounds great.
Moving on.
Trying to get
And
eclectic.
Steph is going to guess first on this. Is this a band or a beer? This is Fire Ant Funeral.
That has to be a band.
Steph is saying that has to be a band. Pete, what do you think? Fire
I think it's
Ant
a beer.
Funeral saying it's a beer,
It's
Brian.
a chili beer.
All right, chili beer.
I think it's a beer.
What type of beer do you think it is?
I think it's a stout brewed with cinnamon, with jalapenos,
Oh, my
and
God.
chocolate.
Can you make that beer right now for me?
No.
It does sound really good.
Nah.
Dan, is that a band or a beer?
I will say band.
Dan is saying that's a band. Once again,
Damn it.
Team
Damn it,
Sly
they suck.
Fox knocking it out of the park. It is a beer, an antidote
Peter, we are so good at this game.
to the big sting. Fire Ant Funeral is a traditional
See, I told
amber
you,
ale.
beer music. you
An
know?
amber ale?
It's a traditional amber ale, so none of the crazy shit that you said.
I wish it was a pepper
From
beer.
Texas Ale Project, which is the first brewery to be built from the ground up in the city of Dallas since the late 1800s. It would, however, also be an awesome band name. I think.
Yes, I agree.
Moving on. And Pete is going to guess first on this one. Band or beer, this is Bootleg Fireworks.
Band.
Saying that's a band, Brian.
I gotta stick with Pete now.
I was going to say, you got to have
It's a
solidarity.
band. I think they're alt country.
Okay. All
Country punk.
Dan, band or beer, style or genre?
What was the name again?
Bootleg Fireworks.
I'm going to go band, and I'm going to say Southern Rock.
Southern Rock. Okay. Steph.
I'm going to say beer just because no one else said it.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of beer?
What was the what was it called again?
It's called Bootleg Fireworks.
A lager.
A lager. Steph is the only one who's
damn it.
correct, but it's not a lager.
God damn it.
Not a
good to go
lager.
with
I wish it was a little bit lager, but it's not.
I see what you did
This
there.
is a 9% ABV double IPA from Baxter Brewing Company in Lewiston, Maine. The commercial description contains such gems as warning, producing thundering eruptions of hoppiness. Bootleg Fireworks is set to detonate a taste explosion. This sounds like a Doritos ad.
It does.
Yeah.
This double IPA isn't balanced. It's all about the hops. It's ready to erupt from each can.
Wow.
Boom.
Boom.
Okay.
Sounds dangerous.
All right,
Boom.
I'll buy it.
Someone on Beer Advocate said that it tastes like brie, but only a little bit.
Wow.
It's no longer made, but it has gone through several iterations. The currently available version is Bootleg Fireworks 3rd edition, if anyone's interested.
Let's go. We'll record there and have it.
Moving on to our 4th and final name of the game. And Brian's going to guess first on this one, and this one is Dumpster Juice. Band or beer?
That is definitely a beer.
Definitely a beer, says Brian. Dan, what do you think?
I would say definitely a band.
Definitely
I
a
wouldn't
band.
name my
Do we have
beer
a
that.
style or genre? Style?
It's a New England IPA.
The New England
That's what I was thinking too. It has to be with
Dan?
I don't know. Yeah, goth.
metal.
Goth metal.
Metal. Goth. What's that? Never mind.
I'm gonna say beer, but since-
Grindcore is what I was trying to think of.
Grindcore.
Grindcore.
but I'll say it's a Northwest style. No, it has to be Northeast. The freaking people in Northwest would not
It's
say
a-
that.
it's a-
It has
it's
to
a-
be a
it's a
Northeast
flower
IPA.
IPA.
No, it has to be a Northeast
Like
IPA.
an OU, not
It
a
has to be.
OW. And finally, Pete, band or beer, dumpster douche. Dumpster
douche.
What did you say? Is it juice or douche? I don't know.
It's definitely juice.
Okay.
Oh my god!
But it
I'm
should
going
be
band.
juice. Saying it's a band. So Pete
We're
and Dan said band. And you are both correct.
Oh, they got to have a point.
It is a band.
I didn't get a goose egg.
Founded in 1990. Oh, Pete, do you have a genre guess, did you say?
Punk.
Punk, all right.
I guess
You
that
weren't
means
going to
no.
get it. Okay, Dumpster Juice is a band from Minneapolis that describes their genre as Tardcore Freak Show.
What?
Yes.
With a
Nice.
I
T?
love that kind of music.
Hardcore Freak Show.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
I don't know what that means. They were originally with the now defunct record label Spanish Fly. They most recently were signed with No Shit Records. Their discography spans 1990 to 2002 and includes such titles as That Not So Fresh Feeling, Get That Out of Your Mouth,
Wow!
and Who Died in Here.
Oh my God.
Wow!
So we're going to add up the points real quick here and see who our big winners are. And I say winners because, though not tied, I feel like they were kind of a team. So Pete and Brian for Team Sly Fox. Pete
yeah.
with 3
Yay.
points, Brian with 2. Dan and Steph tied with 1 point apiece.
All right.
And no German sparkle parties today.
Wait, to be clear, I was the
unfortunately.
champion, right?
You were, in fact, the champion.
Okay, I
To
just
be
wanted to
clear,
make
to be clear, you were the champion. Nobody got bonus points for genre and style, which I think is how we're going to play this
Yes,
game from
I was
now
gonna
on.
say, that has to
because
be
that
part
was
of
a
the
really
game.
cool addition.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Wait, is this the first time that the brewery gave the podcast an idea?
No.
Is it? Oh, come
No.
on.
Why do you
Can't
think
be
we
the
say no
first
squids
time.
are harmed at the?
Oh, that's true.
That came from St. Boniface.
That's true.
But I think that was one of us saying that.
No, we were talking about
Squid ink
squid ink.
being used in some beer.
Sorry, I didn't know this would
No,
take
I
us
think it
to a
was.
tangent.
No, I don't. I think it was with John, the brewer, who first.
Or is
said
it squid ink pasta or something?
There's
I don't
something-
know.
I don't-
I figured it came from like
no,
beer
it was
to my
a beer. There was a beer that
Yeah,
was
It was
made,
made with squid ink.
Yeah.
But then we were talking about food that was made with. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/beerbusters and sign up to become a patron and join the ranks of such people as Wolfgang von Colt, Victoria Miles, Oak Brook Brewing Company, the one and only That's No Baloney, Joe Mansell, and Ron McDonald. Patreon.
I'm impressed that you know the list of the patrons.
.com.
Well, the patrons that pay enough to get their name on the podcast
/Beerbusters.
without looking.
Because I realized I forgot to write it down, so there was a lot of pressure to remember them all.
Good job.
And I got there.
Speaking of Joe Man.
Speaking of Joe, man.
Hey, Beer Busters, this is Joe Man, the one and only That's No Baloney. Just giving a shout-out to Steph. I wanted to wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Steph.
There you go.
Aw, that was
It's your
sweet.
birthday?
Well, it was last week, but
recently.
he actually left that message on my legitimate birthday.
Yes, he did, and I did not have a way to get that to Steph because.
And the first time I ever met Joe Man in person was on my actual birthday, too.
That's right, at Victory.
Yep. Was
Yes.
that 2-3 years ago?
Now,
Yeah.
we haven't plugged this in a while, but you can call and leave the Beer Busters a message as well. We have our very own phone number.
Which Joe Man has on speed dial.
Which
We
Joe
are
Man
so
has on speed.
pranking on Monday.
Oh,
Do
here
it,
we
do
go.
it. Please do
yeah.
it. We
It
will
is-
play it on the show.
Go ahead. It's 805-991-BEER. That is 805-991-2337. You can text, you can call, you can leave a message. I probably won't answer because it's on Do Not Disturb. But let us know. If it's anything we like, yeah, you never know. We might play it on the air. Well, speaking of Steph.
Know your beers.
Steph, what do we got?
So I'm going to foreshadow for our next tasting segment a little bit, but I think we've already foreshadowed it before. But let's talk about beer styles. I haven't done that in a while. And let's talk about the Doppelbock.
I'll be Bock.
Doppelbock is a very strong and rich lager and a bigger version of a traditional Bock or a Hellesbock. Doppelbock, known as Fastenbier or Lenten beer, stark beer, which is strong beer, literally means double Bock, and it is a stronger and usually darker version of the Bavarian Bock beer. It is exceptionally malty with very little bitterness, and they can range anywhere from 7 up to 13% ABV. The Doppelbock is one of Germany's biggest beers, and the style emerged in the late 18th century as a more powerful version of an old monastic strong beer. The monks' liquid bread, which was traditionally brewed during the Lenten season. Since the monks had to regularly fast for long periods of time, like the 46 days between Ash Wednesday and Easter Sunday, they would make plenty of this liquid bread to get them through the season. The first Lenten strong beer was brewed by Palaner monks in Munich in the 1600s. Many believe that Palaner's Lenten liquid bread got stronger over the years. However, it's not exactly clear when it reached the strength that we now associate with a modern Doppelbock. The aroma has very strong maltiness, perhaps toasty or light caramel notes with low fruity aroma, often described as prune, plum, or grape. The appearance is a deep gold to dark brown color, sometimes with ruby highlights and a large, creamy, persistent head. The flavor is very rich and malty, perhaps toasty flavors or a slight chocolate flavor, sometimes fruitiness, is apparent in darker versions, and there's also a smooth and warming alcohol present. The mouthfeel is medium full to full-bodied with moderate to moderate low carbonations. Many Doppelbocks end in "ader," of course, either attribute to the typical salvator or take advantage of the beer's popularity. Commercial examples include, of course, Palaner's Salvator, Einger Celebrator, Andecker's Doppelbock Dunkel, Spaten Optimator, Bell's Consecrator, and Samuel Adams Doppelbock. And of course, we're going to be tasting a few from Sly Fox, Instigator. It's the Hefeweizen
And there's,
Doppelbock,
of course,
the hybrid of styles, which I freaking love.
The lesser-known, obscure Pixar Cars Doppelbock Tomater.
Oh my God, you are. What
Wow.
the fuck?
Thanks for that.
That was terrible.
I was waiting for like 3 minutes, literally, to say that.
This did not take 3 minutes. I was trying to go through it quickly.
No, I mean, like from the beginning, I was like, I should say that.
Why did you have that queued up?
I just thought of it. I don't know.
His name's not Tomater, though, right? What is his name? His name's Mater.
I think his full name's Tomater, but
'cause
they
he was
But no one
Tomater.
will call them Tomater.
but they just call him Mater.
Mater.
Yeah. Well, I think when they
Wait,
first
that's
introduced
his
him.
5-year-old
actual
son
name,
would beg to
Tomater?
differ.
I think so. He's a tow truck.
Well, no, when they first introduced him, I think
and
it was
he's
like.
red like a tomato, right? Isn't the truck red?
Or is he brown
No,
and
there's
rusty?
like rusty brown.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't freaking know.
Like an old
I don't know
tomato.
that I've ever actually seen. Oh no, the race car is red.
Yeah.
The
Lightning
tow
McQueen.
truck is brown.
Lightning
Oh,
McQueen.
the tow truck wears lederhosen, right?
No,
No.
suspenders, like overalls.
Yeah, but at some point he wears lederhosen.
And the tow truck is voiced by Larry the Cable Guy, who now has his own beer.
Let's move on.
Ticky-tacky, ticky-tacky.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oh, I had this.
I feel like we should not get full pictures of the box. Just saying.
We're getting
Yeah.
half pictures. So
okay, that's a good idea.
Hey, can I tell you a funny story about talking about Bock beer and talking about Americans, and we often, I love how Americans are because we're very, at least now, focused on trying to view things and taste them from the source and understand where they come from. We're very organized with our beer styles, and our brain power goes to that. But I was over at Eying Brewery, right, and they have their Celebrator, right? So
with the little goat thing around.
That's the
yeah,
first-
it's that cute little trinket. So I'm at Eying Brewery, and someone had arranged a favor for me, a tour, and I was staying at their guest house. So I had this tour, and it was a bunch of German dentists. And at the beginning of the tour, they realized I didn't speak German that well, and they were taking me under their wing. But then I started telling them how some of the equipment worked, and they were all confused. They realized all the German beers and all the German words for brewing I knew, but I didn't. My German wasn't so good. So after we were done the tour, we were all drinking beers together, and I asked if they had Celebrator on draft. And all the German dentists said, no, nine, Celebrator nicht vom Fass. They don't have it, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, they do have it. They said, no. And I said, no, they do. And they said, how do you know this? I said, because I've had it. And they said, where? And I said, down the street from my house in Norristown, Pennsylvania is where I was living at the time. And they said, what? And so within 20 minutes, they had gotten the import director from the brewery who was just finishing up. It was like 7 o'clock on a Thursday. And the import director comes out and tells them, we have that on draft, but only for America.
Wow.
They probably did not like
Wow.
that. Even at Brauhaus, they don't have it on tap. They only have it in bottles.
Yes, but they.
I mean, Brauhaus has lots of things on draft.
There's so much.
That was the first Bock that I ever tried and liked. And I was at Brauhaus when they had it in a bottle, and I kept a little trinket, but I have no idea where that is now.
Moo probably hid it somewhere.
Yeah, probably. That damn cat.
Someday you'll roll over in bed and you'll be like, what is that thing in my cheek?
There it is.
Exactly.
And you'll be like, there it is!
Oh, that's where it went. Well, there's a couple other pictures here, so I feel like I have to do this.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
Hey, speaking of Bocks,
This is the Instigator Doppelbock.
Instigator
It's definitely
Doppelbock.
instigating.
7.5% German-style Doppelbock.
It's really good.
Hell yeah, it's good. It's a Bock.
It's so good.
Oh, my God. I don't think I've had this before.
It is so good. It's got that. It's got like a nice touch of sweetness, some of that plum character that you talked about.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, ugh.
Several layers of flavor with the malt.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
so it's as complex as a malty beer can get, I think.
It's really complex, but really simple, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just this unified flavor. But
This is the beer that makes me want to just sit back, stop talking, and drink.
you know what I do want to say, though? One of the cool things we do with this beer, we do with the Helles, too, and some of the other German beers, we actually do an old-style mashing where we take a third of the mash and we draw it off the main mash and we boil it. So we boil this mash. It's called decoction mashing.
Yep.
And before there were thermometers, the brewer used to... So I don't know if you know where rule of thumb came from, that saying.
I've heard
But the
this
brewmaster
before, yes.
used to stick his thumb in the water and go, okay, that's about right. And about right was about bath water. 120 degrees
Right.
is about bath water. Right around the point where you can't really stick your whole thumb in there for that long. So they take that water and they mix it with the malt and they mash it all together. And then they draw off a third of it and they boil it and they'd send it back and they mix it all back again. And it would go from about 122 or 50 degrees Celsius up to about 148. I'm better with degrees C, or 66, 64 degrees C. And that would be the saccharification temperature where most of the starch would convert to sugar. And then they let it sit there and rest and they draw off a third again and they boil it again. And then they'd put it back in and it would bring it up to the beta rest, about 72 degrees C. So what's interesting is it was a great method if you didn't have a thermometer to do something consistently, because boiling is a pretty consistent temperature. And if you can control a third and make those numbers. So that's where decoction mashing started. And it's very labor intensive. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy to boil. But I do think it produces some nuances of malt character that we admire. And we only brew this beer once or twice a year at this season. And so we go through that extra step, but I think it makes a difference. Or I just remember the extra work and it tastes even better.
It just tastes
But-
better.
No,
because
and
you
there are
know.
people
Yeah.
that will say the opposite and say it doesn't make a difference, but I agree with you. I certainly do think it makes a difference. As someone
Everything
that,
changes beer that
Yeah,
you do.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anything in the process can have an effect. I wonder if that, and I don't know certainly, but like there's almost like a caramely sort of character to it, like a caramelized kind of character to it. I wonder, would that be like something that would be imparted by that
Yeah,
process?
they call them molloidal reactions
Right,
that happen
right.
with boiling mash, and that certainly is a factor. But what's interesting is I think you can get that flavor from caramel malts, and there are some richer Munich and caramel malts in this beer. But when you get them from boiling the mash, it's a more subtle, rich, nuanced character than just this sweet, like sugary character.
Right, yeah.
have you ever bottled any of the Bocks, or are they only?
We used to bottle for a few years Instigator and 22-ounce bottles.
But only for Germany, right?
We only sent it to Germany. They stopped it at the border. I never know what happened to the bottles. But
I'll never forget that story. So I have to ask, Peter, did you get into the brewing business because it was sort of a family business, or did you have your own little passion for beer?
Both. I mean, I grew up, with the Sly Fox always being there. My dad's the founder, so it was his original brainchild, and he's still involved at the Phoenixville Brew Pub. And so, I mean, it was kind of a thing that I grew up with and always had a passion for, is learning about beer and drinking different kinds of beer. And so I always knew I was going to do the brewery thing, but I actually never started working for the brewery until about 3 years ago. I went to school for supply chain. I worked at Wegmans for 2 years in distribution, and then I came here. So.
And your title is Assistant Operations Manager. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm still trying to figure it out. It means that I do a whole lot of everything, and I can't get quite enough time to do everything the amount of effort I want to give it to. But I'm doing a whole lot of different things, from HR to event management to operations and software and safety and whatever.
You want to work here? Do all this.
Yes, just do. How many hats do you have?
Or
And
like,
play Can Jam.
you can do all that,
Yeah.
or if you can play
actually,
Can Jam,
we've got to
that's all you
start
need to
setting rules that, like, if you haven't played Can Jam this week, you have to just stop working, go play Can Jam.
Play
for one
Can Jam
day.
for a half
Can
hour.
Jam break.
We're going to set, like, a timer on your desk.
Well, that's like-
and it's going to go bing. You're about, okay, Can Jam. But you know what? It is interesting. I mean, I don't know if your listeners are that interested in the business of beer, but there's so much work that goes into, like, getting the right beer at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
From planning, 8 months ahead of time, and it's amazing how much that rules your day.
I'm sure, especially, I mean, it becomes more and more true the more crowded the market gets. I mean, as much camaraderie there is in the craft beer community, you still have to make money.
Of course.
And if you're one of, 5 taps at a bar or one of, a dozen bottles at a bottle shop, that's one thing. But when you're one of 20, 30 taps or one of hundreds and hundreds of bottles, suddenly you I think, have to think about those sorts of things more often than maybe you would have, 15, 20
Hold on.
years
Hold on.
ago.
I have a very, very important question.
Breaking
that
news.
Untapped is teasing me.
You and your damn Untapped.
Icebox? When did the Icebox come out?
We don't know what you're talking about.
We don't know it. Yeah. What is that?
WTF, guys. According to Untapped, there are Icebox.
I must decline to answer on the grounds that I might incriminate myself. Let's just say if you come to the goat
Come
races,
to the go race. That's all you have to say.
and you don't get here late and you're focused and you ask for Icebox, there will be an opportunity for you.
Who do I need to ask?
Go into the...
Talk to a man in a yellow poncho. His name is Hank.
Wow.
Is there like a password? Pete sent me.
The password is Icebox.
The password is
You
Icebox.
say it politely and you'll find it.
You
Icebox,
can't
please.
put this on
No,
air.
don't worry. Don't worry,
This
fine.
needs to be secret. I don't want 500 people lining up finding the man with the yellow
Actually, you
poncho
know what's
selling
funny?
Icebox.
You know what's funny? We actually need a little press for the Icebox, but no one knows they're available, and we don't really want to promote them that much. But maybe this would be a great, avenue to do it, because sometimes.
But if you're in front of me in line, I'm jipping you.
See, let's put it this way. I can't drink Ice Bock at the goat races because I drink for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So
You
sometimes
should just serve it in a shot glass.
Well, it is a very small
we
glass,
do.
but sometimes I'll smell it and I'll taste it like somebody,
Just
a
sip.
friend, a regular that has some, and I'll taste it. But like, I can't enjoy it. And every now and then, sometimes there's a little bit left the next day because it's such a big, crazy day. No one bothers to ask. So maybe
I will ask. Don't worry.
Maybe this is a good thing to talk about on the podcast.
So it's a reward if you've made it this far into the
If
show.
you've made it this
now
far,
you know the secret.
Yeah.
You know.
Which means Joe Man will be first in line.
Just have a ride home.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Why do
You go
think
the
I'm
Ice
very
Bock
rich?
route.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we talk about this yet?
We didn't because the head is still settling.
Yeah, I
from
actually
It's
don't even have
beautiful
any
now.
yet.
It's this one here.
That's the Hefeweizen Doppelbock.
It's my favorite of the box. This is what when I get my mug, this is what I get. I love
People go
this.
nuts for this one.
It's delicious. It's the best of both worlds.
Having been in the trenches in the beer tent at the Bock Fest, I can tell you that a lot of people are coming up for what I call the H-Dub D-Bub.
the
H-Dub, B-Dub?
The H-Dub D-Bub. HWDB, Hefeweizen Doppelbock.
So I will tell you guys.
1 + 2 + 2 + 1.
Not 1
The wheat beers or
1
the
+
Weiss
1 is 3.
beers from Sly
2 + 2 is
Fox
5.
are certainly inspired.
Spidered. Oh, God,
Or inspired.
I'm going home.
All right, Bock beer's getting to me.
Yeah.
Certainly
That's it.
inspired
Is it
by
instigating you?
the Schneider Brewery in Germany. I think makes some of the most beautiful wheat beers in the world, and always has, always will, kind of thing. And when I was in Cleveland, there was a little restaurant. It's probably still there, called Der Braumeister. And once a month, all the brewers would get together there, and the whole place would be. It was a traditional German place, and the whole place would get freaked out because all these people showed up. They didn't know who they were. We'd all drink beer, and we'd all order different German beers, and usually out of 10, 5 were undrinkable. So you'd never order. If someone hadn't ordered it, you'd take one for the team and order it. And someone would say, oh, this one's not so good, this one's not so good. They were just old. But the one beer that was always in good shape was Adventinus from Schneider Brewery, which is the Hefeweizen Doppelbock. So most of us would not order that because it's strong. But out of the 10 beers that weren't Aventinus, or the 9 that weren't Aventinus, we'd all order beers. And 2 or 3 were in good shape, and that's all we'd drink for the rest of the night. We'd talk about beer, we'd talk about brewing, and then at the end of the night, most people would drink one Hefeweizen Doppelbock, the Aventinus, to kind of put that nightcap on. So
was this inspired by that?
yeah, and Royal Weiss is inspired by Schneider Weiss, too, as well.
I love this beer.
There's a lot of layers to this beer, and that's what I really like about it.
No, I love having a moss of it and watching goats run. You've never experienced
That's
this
your
beer.
Go Race beer.
Yes, until you've had it here at the Go Race.
I mean, if you're a person who appreciates wheat beers and appreciates Bock beers
And goats.
it's the marriage of those two beautiful, beautiful worlds.
Do you know the word Gemütlichkeit?
Yes.
No?
No?
Gemütlichkeit.
Your German heritage? I'm ashamed. I'm
Sort of.
sorry.
To be fair, I know I've heard that before, but I can't.
So Gemütlichkeit doesn't... You know it in the song. But do you know what it means?
It means like good times, happiness.
Oh, it's sort of like a sense of warmth and like
It's warm, fuzzy
contentment.
feelings
Yeah.
between friends when we're drinking.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
So it doesn't translate directly to English, but I think there's something really cool about drinking beer outside, because it's great to be outside, right? We're Americans, so we're still completely like 3 generations from Prohibition, but we're still like rejoicing that the sun's on our face and we have a beer in our hand because it's so foreign, because we're not in a dark, dingy place. And then you put that together with a strong beer, and it's hard to be with a friend drinking a strong beer because eventually you're a little buzzed, and then you look out and there's a goat that's racing. It's like, that is the epitome of Gemütlichkeit, all in one little glass and experience.
Yes.
So I think you're right.
So true.
Gemütlichkeit.
Gemütlichkeit.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Stop the presses.
Oh, no.
There's another beer on my list.
There is another beer on the list.
So Slackerbock.
Slackerbock, the final beer.
This is a little bit backwards.
Slackerbock?
So this is a traditional Dunkelbock, not quite as strong as the Instigator or the Hefeweizen Doppelbock. This is probably pretty. That's a good thing right now, but it's definitely malty flavors, similar to the Instigator, but not quite as rich.
It has those same malty characteristics, but it does drink easier.
Ooh, this is good.
It is really good, yeah.
It's really
It
good.
is. Definitely more hop presence.
Yeah. It's crisper.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it has a drier finish.
Yeah.
It's not quite as rich as the other.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm getting like
We're
a
on Bock, not Doppelbocks.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I'm getting like a chocolatey aftertaste too, just like in
A
the
little
very
bit,
very
yeah.
back end,
I
very
can see that.
subtle, and then it dissipates.
Finishes pretty clean though for a Bock beer. Like it's
Yeah.
It does.
I appreciate
highly
that.
drinkable, but also has a lot of character.
All right, so this is amazing.
It is really good.
It's phenomenal.
And I want to say these things before we get off the rails, but if you want to learn more about Sly Fox Beer, go to slyfoxbeer.com. And they are Sly Fox Beer on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the socials.
All of the
And
socials.
don't forget about all of the awesome events that are coming up. If you have not been to the Bock Fest and the goat races, you must come. Sunday, May 7th will be this year's rendition. So what number will this be?
I
Math.
think this is number 17. I think the
17.
first one was in 2000, if I'm not mistaken.
16, 17, 18. It's something around there.
Something new we're doing this year that we've never done before is we're having Alex Meixner play.
Alex Meisner's going to be here. He's
you know
amazing.
him?
He is amazing.
You know him.
Do you know Alex Meissner?
Yes. We are members of the Evergreen Country Club in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Proud German club members, and we've seen him perform many, many times.
At the
He
Liederkrans?
is amazing.
Doesn't he rock? He's going to
He
be
is
so awesome.
amazing. He
So
plays
you've been
great
to the goat
traditional-
race,
Yes.
and you know Alex Meissner.
It's
Isn't
going to
it
be
like
the perfect
marriage made in heaven?
It is the marriage made in heaven.
I saw
agree
him
with
play
you.
at the Reading Liederkrans Oktoberfest 2 years ago,
Yes, we've
3
seen
years
him there
ago,
as well.
and I said, you have to come and play at our goat race.
Oh, my God.
So this has been like 2.5, 3 years in the making, and he's finally coming, so we're very
my
excited.
gosh.
We booked him 3 years in a row. The first
We tried
year,
to.
something happened. Second year, something happened. And the third year, nothing happened, but he's now like this big star because the Hornell...
Yeah, he does the freaking
The
commercials
Hornell
now.
freaking commercial made him...
My
and-
Pepperona.
Yeah, my pepper,
My
which is
Pepperona.
kind of... It's kind of cool. It's kind of not cool. Like, it's not really him, but...
Yeah, for those of us that know him, but
So they're like, oh, he's a
for him.
star. He can't play. We're like, come on. We go
He's
way
a
back.
great guy. He's awesome.
he's awesome.
Super nice
so
guy.
talented. He does Metallica polka.
I know. He's
Seriously.
perfect goat race,
He's
right?
polka rock.
Perfect.
Polka
Perfect.
rock. So come
Oh
see
my
Alex
God.
Meixner,
But you know
too.
what? I don't know if I'm more excited about the goat race people that have been here every year. They're gonna like the race is gonna stop and they're like they love the polka music and they'll be like, yeah. They're gonna, oh my God, this guy's incredible. I don't know if I'm more pumped to see their face or I'm more pumped to see Alex's face go, oh my God,
That's
this
what
is
I'm
the
pumped
best
for.
event I ever played.
That's what
He
I
better say that.
Because I've seen him, after that I saw him at Stouts Oktoberfest, and
Yep.
I said, dude, you have to come. And he's like, I know.
It's the perfect event for him.
And-
And he's from this area. He is a Pennsylvania native. It's meant to be.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And Emil Shanta Band is still that we always have. They're still
Of course.
playing. They're going to play before Alex. And Emil played with Alex's father back
Right.
in the day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there's a whole. I mean, this is like meant to be.
It is meant to be.
It's destiny.
It's destiny. You just need Weird Al Yankovic now.
I
right.
was hoping somebody would say it.
And Frankie Yankovic. Anyway, moving on. June 3rd is Taps, Tunes, and Trucks. So come out for that as well.
Yeah.
And we teased a little bit of Can Jam
with
a C.
with the
Can
band's TBA.
Yes.
Can't Jam and Earl.
Band's TBA. Saturday, September 30th.
But they're going to be really good.
Awesome.
They're going to be really good.
I will keep my eyes glued to your website and social media.
Exceeding
and such.
expectations.
And if you're able to go back in time, the SRT ale release party.
You just said that so nonchalantly. And if you're able to go back in time, the SRT release party was there a day?
Or just buy it at your local
It's your
bottle
kids,
shop.
Marty. Something
Yeah.
needs to be done about your kids.
Where we're going, we don't need no roads.
But even though you can't go back in time, you can still drink SRT all season long
All right.
and
Support
support
the
the
trail.
trail.
Yes, support the trail. And it's a delicious beer that if
Is that a
you're...
hashtag? That should be a hashtag. Hashtag
Actually,
support the
it
trail.
is support the trail.
Boom.
It sounds like a hashtag.
We got that
yeah.
covered.
On top of that. Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
And it's the perfect beer to have on like a hot day after you've been out on the trail, or before you go out on the trail, or have while you're on the trail. It's a good beer.
Faster, I have to pee.
But
Don't
of course,
break the seal. Don't do it.
I know. That's the worst.
I can't believe it's taken me this long to get here to Sly Fox, any of the locations.
Shame on you.
Oh, man.
I know, man. Trust me.
Where do you live? Illinois?
No. South Philly.
Oh,
I know.
It's always the South Philly guys.
Yeah, really.
I mean,
our new
the
sales
North-
rep's from South Philly.
The
He's
North
like,
Philly guys
same
get
thing.
around, but the South Philly guys, they just
Yeah.
don't leave town.
I
the
can't
North
go
Philly
anywhere,
guys
man.
get around.
They do. They
No,
do.
they're jerks. South Philly is where it's at. But I can't believe it's taken me this long, and unfortunately, I haven't been to the goat races yet. I mean, it's
I feel
just-
like this is the year.
hopefully, I mean, if I can get off work that day,
This
totally.
soon.
But of course, we all know and we all love Sly Fox beer, and it's awesome to have. Like, I hadn't had these Bocks before. This is phenomenal, and it's cool to see all the stuff. And I want to get to the Phoenixville location, and have that English that's on the
Chester County Bitter.
Yeah.
Chester County Bitter. All right, and you said it's on it. It is on
Always
the hand pump, right?
on the hand pump. Only on the
Perfect.
hand pump.
Only
we
on the hand
don't
pump.
we don't
How
keg
else
them.
would you serve it?
Well, you get places to try, but that's even better. I gotta get out there.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for having us out here.
Thanks for coming.
This has been
Thank
a hell
you.
of a lot
It's
of
been
fun. And of course, don't forget you can go to audibletrial.com/beerbuster. Sign up for your free 30-day trial of an Audible account where you get to download, listen to, and keep forever. It's yours in the cloud audio book of your choosing. You should probably just keep the membership anyway because you'll want to listen to other books instead of read other books. Give your eyes a break. audibletrial.com/beerbuster.
Do they have like all books, like pretty much? Or
Every book ever written.
At this point,
No,
pretty
don't
much
advertise that because that's not true.
And of course, you can go to patreon.com/beerbusters and sign up to be a patron of the show. As little as $1 a month, as much as infinity dollars a month.
Yeah, hashtag make it rain, bitches. Listen,
Hashtag-
we put out a lot of content for free, and if you enjoy it and you don't pay us, you should feel bad. Go to patreon.com/beerbuster.
we
I don't know about that.
appreciate people
Everyone
listening,
who
whether they pay or not.
everyone
I
who
was being
listens and
sarcastic.
engages with us, we appreciate
No,
your
definitely,
continued
definitely.
listenership
And hey, listen,
support.
if you
that a word?
can't,
Listenership.
It is now.
Listenership?
it is. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
If you can't support us on Patreon, if you things are a little tight or you just don't think it's worth it, that's fair. I get it.
That's
That's
cool.
cool. Just tell your friends to listen to the show.
Yeah.
Or like
You know what
give
you
us
can
a
do, too?
rating
Yeah.
and a review. On
Give us a rating on iTunes.
Wait,
your,
can
your
people
podcast
buy you a
service
beer?
of choice.
You can do that too.
Buy
How
us
does
a
that
beer.
work, though?
Send us beer in
I
the
mean,
mail.
like, at an
Send us
event.
beer in the
You can
mail.
mail us beer.
No, but
We've
could,
had
like
people do
when
that.
if they want to donate or something, could they just buy a beer, like a $6 pledge? Like
Well, they
like
could
they
pledge
should?
$6 and then cancel their thing.
Do you have like
They
a
could.
beer, like a one-time beer pledge?
That's a good idea.
You can make your checks payable to Beerbusters Media Limited.
Or MoneyGrams.
email Steph at beerbusterspodcast.com and I'll give you the
Or
address.
you
we'll
could do
figure it
that.
out.
What is
yeah.
the average price of a beer in your podcast area? Is it $5.50, $6?
Somewhere
Somewhere
like
around
5 or
there,
6, yeah.
5 to 7, I'd say.
5 to 7.
Hey, I just had an idea.
What's that?
Do you like Beerbusters? Why not buy us a beer? You can pledge $5 per podcast episode
Because
to
we
cover
never
a pint.
drink beer.
Well, here's the thing.
I've
I
had
think
beer in
if you've
years.
made it this far in the podcast, you should
Hashtag
probably
buy
buy a
us a
freaking beer for you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you know,
That's
or-
more than
But
true.
they should get something too. Like there should be an
A
exchange.
high five. By the way,
Yeah.
yesterday was National
like
High
a
Five.
shout out.
It
Maybe a
was.
shout out beer. Or
We can do
something.
we can do shout outs.
Yeah.
That's
Buy
what-
us a beer, we'll say your name.
at a certain level
Or
of,
say
of
whatever they want.
patronage, you get your name.
no,
announced
maybe it
on
should
the
be
show.
a pitcher.
Because
Because there's three of you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We need a pitcher
Buy
for
us
three
a
of us.
pitcher, we'll mention your name. So, hey, here's a shout out to Brian from Sly Fox. He bought us a pitcher of
Yes.
Sly Fox
Well, he
for
bought us,
such
like,
and
five.
such.
I was going to say,
whatever.
this is like 5 pitchers of beer. And the,
So you have to say your name
pint
5
of
times.
still
Brian,
the
Brian,
dry hop
Brian,
pills that's
Brian,
there.
Brian.
Please
Yeah,
drink
right.
responsibly.
Please drink responsibly indeed. Soon to
Can
be
we end
sponsored by
this?
Uber.
I really,
hopefully.
really, really have to.
Steph has to pee, so I guess I got to hit a button. This brings us, unfortunately, to the end of another episode of Beer Busters.
Is that how every episode ends?
pretty much? What was,
That I have
was
to
Steph
pee?
having to pee?
Yeah.
That's
just-
so anticlimactic, Steph.
Yeah,
Could you,
kinda, yeah.
do something more
It is,
dramatic?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you again for having us out here. It's been a blast.
Thanks for coming.
And I hope to make it out to one of the events. If not the goat races, then hopefully something else.
we're coming to Can Jam. Just
Yes.
saying.
And
Do
I
it.
will buy more Pipeline Pills at my local Acme with a 360 can. Well, I am Dan Baker, joined as usual by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
This is the first time in a while I've gotten to say this in full. No squids were harmed in the making of this episode. We'll see you next time.
I'm happier than a tornado in a trailer park.